Chapter 974. Even the recovery speed of Qi was not that fast. If this continued, he would only be exhausted to death. Crown Prince Crocodile in the field seemed to have finally realized this problem. He began to gradually balance the offense and defense, shifting to attacking more and defending more. Yi Shiwen's strength shocked him. He could not defeat Yi Shiwen in a short time. It was better to wait for Yi Shiwen to be defeated. Yi Shiwen slashed Crown Prince Crocodile back again. He saw through Crown Prince Crocodile's plan at a glance. Did Yi Shiwen want to wait for Crown Prince Crocodile to be defeated? How is that possible? If Yi Shiwen was an ordinary person, then he would have died from the exhaustion of Jinyuan. But was Yi Shiwen an ordinary person? A faint sneer flashed at the corner of his mouth. Even if Crown Prince Crocodile exhausted his qi, Yi Shiwen was still far from it. After integrating the Star Beast's bloodline, Yi Shiwen also inherited some of the Star Beast's characteristics. For example, the qi that was far greater than the average human was one of them. If Yi Shiwen was said to be a monster in human skin in the past, then it was said that he had a terrifying fighting strength. But now, Yi Shiwen was really like a monster in human skin. If he held this idea and wanted to resist until Yi Shiwen's qi was exhausted, then he didn't mind showing Yi Shiwen how vigorous his qi was. However, Crown Prince Crocodile, who kept letting go, was simply defenseless in his opinion. "Crown Prince Crocodile, is this all you have?" Yi Shiwen sneered and asked. He waved the long saber in his hand. The saber slammed down like 1,000 kilograms, collapsing the sky. Boom! Crown Prince Crocodile was sent flying by Yi Shiwen's saber again. The terrifying power vibrated in it. Even the demon spear could not offset too much of the power. The demon spear itself was an offensive martial art instrument. At this time, it naturally could not exert its full power. Crown Prince Crocodile was quite embarrassed. He spurted a mouthful of blood. Suddenly, he was shocked to realize that his injuries had become more and more serious as time went by. Perhaps each slash could not kill him, and could only inflict minor injuries. However, the following slashes would accumulate into serious injuries that were difficult to treat. By that time, the injury would have reached the bone marrow, and it would be too late. However, Yi Shiwen's face wasn't red nor was he out of breath. It seemed that the previous battle didn't cause too much of a burden to him. Only now did he suddenly wake up. Could this be a conspiracy set by Yi Shiwen? Everyone thought that if Yi Shiwen continued to fight like this, then perhaps he would exhaust his Jinyuan first and die, but they didn't really estimate how much Jinyuan Yi Shiwen had in the end, and if he continued to defend like this, then perhaps he would die before Yi Shiwen. Before Yi Shiwen's Jinyuan was exhausted, he would be seriously injured and die. Was this Yi Shiwen's plan? Thinking of this, he was suddenly shocked in his heart. If this was Yi Shiwen's plan, then Yi Shiwen's scheming was too terrifying. Thinking of this, he didn't have the mood to continue to dawdle with Yi Shiwen. Not to mention, whether Yi Shiwen did this or not, he didn't want to be so cowardly anymore. His ambition was revived, and he shouldn't be so weak. He roared up to the sky, and the demon spear in his hand suddenly stabbed out. It turned into a sky full of demon shadows, attacking Yi Shiwen. The demon's saber in Yi Shiwen's hand slashed out. Powerful Jinyuan swept out, turning into saber aura that slashed horizontally. Boom! It was another terrifying collision. Crown Prince Crocodile gave up the plan to continue the stalemate with Yi Shiwen. Apparently, he had seen through Yi Shiwen's plan. Yi Shiwen didn't mind it, just smiled coldly. So what if he saw through it? He didn't intend to deceive Crown Prince Crocodile. Crown Prince Crocodile was Yi Shiwen's archenemy. Such a character could be deceived for a while, but it was impossible to be deceived forever. Since I can't continue to deceive, then I will destroy him in one go. Thinking of this, Yi Shiwen directly attacked unscrupulously. Originally, Yi Shiwen's physical body was more tyrannical than Crown Prince Crocodile. Whether it was Tyrant Golden Body or Star Beast's bloodline, he shouldn't be underestimated. Not to mention that Crown Prince Crocodile was also injured. It was not a wise idea to fight Yi Shiwen at this time. Crown Prince Crocodile was defeated by Yi Shiwen's explosive attack for a while. The saber aura and the spear aura collided and devoured each other in midair. The powerful battle aura could be felt from a distance. Those watching the battle retreated further and further, not daring to approach. Otherwise, they were likely to be injured by the shockwave. As the two gradually fought, the battle became more and more intense. At this time, no one dared to approach. They even had to stay far away. Even the more powerful Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan experts were no exception. They initially didn't want to leave. They wanted to stay and see if there was a chance to help Crown Prince Crocodile. If it were before, they wouldn't have such thoughts at all. In their hearts, Crown Prince Crocodile was a god. He was invincible. How could anyone be Crown Prince Crocodile's opponent? But now, they didn't dare to think so. They had seen Yishuin's strength. There was no doubt that Crown Prince Crocodile was a fool. They even faintly had a rebellious thought in their minds. Crown Prince Crocodile might lose to Yishuin. If that was the case, then even the sky would collapse. Crown Prince Crocodile, if you only have this little strength, you will definitely die in my hands. Yishuin sneered. The long saber in his hand slashed out instantly. The saber aura fell on Crown Prince Crocodile. Initially, I didn't want to use it, but I didn't expect an ant like you to have some skills. Then, go to hell. At this time, Crown Prince Crocodile snorted coldly. All the chi on his body began to boil at once. The laws emerged from his body. It was the law he condensed that belonged to him. These laws condensed around him according to a certain mysterious law, forming a territory, and quickly spread in all directions. The speed was as fast as lightning. Yishuin was instantly shrouded in it. Pseudo-territory. This thought popped up in Yishuin's mind instantly. But at this time, it was too late to leave. He had been shrouded in the territory. Is that a territory? All the experts present were instantly stunned. They were all experienced and knowledgeable people. Many of them were even old monsters who had lived for thousands of years. They might not be very strong, but their eyesight was much stronger than many young experts. Many people almost immediately judged that this was Crown Prince Crocodile's territory. Many people had seen the territory when it was unfolded. No, it can't be a territory. After all, Crown Prince Crocodile hasn't entered the law manifestation realm, so it can't be a territory. Then, there is only one explanation. This is a pseudo-territory. Someone analyzed and began to suck in a cold breath. Even if it is just a pseudo-domain, for many warriors, it is still a rare treasure. How did Crown Prince Crocodile cultivate a pseudo-domain? Could it be that the 6th floor is a fairyland? Otherwise, how could Crown Prince Crocodile cultivate a pseudo-domain? No, Crown Prince Crocodile must have practiced it for a long time since he is so familiar with the pseudo-field. It is not a temporary practice. I'm afraid he had mastered it before entering the demon-subduing tower. This should be one of the capital he used to compete for the top 100 list, but he didn't expect Yishuin to force it out now. They were right. Yishuin judged almost immediately that Crown Prince Crocodile was very proficient in this territory. It was definitely not a temporary practice. Perhaps, Crown Prince Crocodile had been practicing it for many years. He was much more proficient than Yihong. However, he soon discovered that this territory was very similar to what Yishuin felt from Yihong before, or it was simply a copy. The two territories seemed to be carved in the same mold, or it was simply the same territory. Judging from the strength of the two, Crown Prince Crocodile should have taught this territory to Yihong. Whether it was the range of the territory or the degree of proficiency, Crown Prince Crocodile was far above Yihong. Yishuin knew the reason without guessing. I didn't plan to use it on you, but since you want to die, then I will fulfill your wish. Crown Prince Crocodile looked at Yishuin coldly and said. A cruel smile flashed on his face. After displaying the territory, Crown Prince Crocodile's confidence suddenly soared. Even if it was Yishuin, he wouldn't care. The gap between a person with a territory and a person without a territory was like heaven and earth. It was enough to crush Yishuin. Although he had heard that Yishuin had broken the same territory of Yihong, The same territory in Yihang's hands couldn't be the same as in his hands. Yi Shiwen suddenly felt that his movement speed was much slower. It was not the same as the previous state of being like a fish in the water. He couldn't help but frown. Perhaps he should consider cultivating a pseudo-domain. Even if it's a pseudo-domain, it's still the prototype of a domain. It's much better than having no domain at all. Although many people said that it was much more difficult for a transcendent realm master to cultivate a pseudo-domain compared to a law manifestation realm master, however, he didn't believe it. Since others had a way to condense it, then he must be able to do it. Furthermore, he now had another trump card that he could use. The most important thing was that Yi Shiwen suddenly thought that if one day he wanted to compete with the law manifestation realm experts, there was no way at all without the means of territory. He also heard from EMO that the real law manifestation realm experts were terrifying. In the territory, they were the real gods, dominating everything. Falling into their territory was a dead end. Chapter 975. It didn't matter how strong he was. Fighting against them in their domain was like fighting against the power of heaven and earth in the world. It was like fighting against the true God. There was no chance of winning at all. Even if Yi Shiwen was conceited, he knew that this was the biggest gap between them. But if he condensed a domain, then the situation was different. Even if it was just a pseudo-domain, he dared to fight against the law manifestation realm expert with a real domain. Most importantly, Crown Prince Crocodile had a domain. No one could guarantee that other younger generation experts had not condensed their own domain. Facing an expert with a pseudo-domain, even if it was not as tricky as a domain expert, it was not a simple matter. On the other hand, if Yi Shiwen had his own domain now, then he could drive his domain directly to break Crown Prince Crocodile's domain. It didn't have to be so complicated. He didn't even need to think about tactics. He could just crush all the way. Without the protection of the domain, Crown Prince Crocodile was nothing to worry about. This was absolute confidence. Although it was only for a moment, Yi Shiwen still thought a lot about this. Falling into Crown Prince Crocodile's domain, Yi Shiwen suddenly felt that it was difficult to breathe. He felt that every breath was as heavy as breathing into a piece of iron. Yi Shiwen, you are fated to die today! At this time, the demon's spear in Crown Prince Crocodile's hand appeared instantly and went straight to Yi Shiwen's face. In this domain, Yi Shiwen was greatly restricted, but for him, it was like a fish in water. Within the scope of the domain, he could even change the domain to make his speed faster than before. In this domain, he was the only true god. If he wanted to increase his speed, he could increase it. If he wanted to reduce the air resistance, he could reduce it. Although it was not comparable to a god nation built by a god himself, it was still very impressive. With this foundation, once he advanced to the Transcendence realm in the future, condensing his own domain was only a matter of time. This spear momentum was like a thunderbolt. The spear aura exuded a cold demon light, as cold as winter. The surrounding demon aura was absorbed in an instant. The spear pierced through the world as if it could pierce through the whole world. A cruel smile flashed on his face as if he could see Yi Shiwen dying in his hands. He planned to pierce Yi Shiwen with the spear. He was very confident that Yi Shiwen wouldn't be able to escape from his domain. However, just as his long spear was about to pierce Yi Shiwen's body, he didn't feel that he had pierced an entity. Sure enough, his devil's spear directly penetrated Yi Shiwen's body, and then Yi Shiwen unexpectedly turned into a mass of light. It was so similar to the situation just now. It was almost like a repeat of the situation just now. This is impossible! Crown Prince Crocodile's eyes were still filled with disbelief. He absolutely did not believe that the situation just now would be recreated by him. If the situation just now was recreated, then what about him? Inside his domain, even the strongest experts would be affected. Although the higher one's strength was, the less affected they would be. However, even if they were small, their speed would still be greatly restricted. It was impossible for them to be as fast as they were in the outside world. Unless they had their own domain, they would be able to counteract the effects of his domain and not be affected by it. However, Yi Shiwen did not show any domain technique from beginning to end. How could his speed be so fast? Not only Crown Prince Crocodile, but many people around him were also dumbfounded. Everyone saw Yi Shiwen disappear suddenly when he was almost killed by Crown Prince Crocodile. Everyone knew that Yi Shiwen did not disappear. There were no spatial fluctuations around him. In other words, it was not teleportation. Then, there was only one possibility. Yi Shiwen's speed was too fast, exceeding the level that they could perceive with the naked eye, resulting in such a scene. But in this domain, how could Yi Shiwen still show such speed? Just when everyone was astonished, a cold voice came from midair. Crown Prince Crocodile, are you curious about what martial art I was practicing in close cultivation before you came? Today, I will let you see. Everyone looked up and saw a golden figure in the sky. If it wasn't Yi Shiwen, then who could it be? Yi Shiwen sneered coldly. A pair of golden wings spread out behind him. They were more than 10 meters long, covering the sky. Under this pair of golden wings, Yi Shiwen's figure was abnormally small. He was not a threat at all. What? Crown Prince Crocodile was suddenly shocked. Yi Shiwen escaped from his hands completely. What was that pair of wings? He suddenly remembered that when Yi Shiwen escaped from his hands several times before, he relied on this pair of wings. With this pair of wings, Yi Shiwen's speed would rise to an astonishing level. Crown Prince Crocodile didn't take it too seriously. After all, no matter what kind of movement technique or amazing speed, it would be restrained in his domain. He was confident that even if Yi Shiwen spread that pair of wings, it was impossible to escape from his hands. Don't forget that he was also an exceptionally tyrannical expert in addition to his domain. His speed wasn't slow at all. If he still couldn't catch Yi Shiwen with the help of his domain, and allowed him to escape, then he wouldn't need to live anymore. He only thought of this point. As for whether he would lose to Yi Shiwen, it was simply impossible to think about it. How could he lose to Yi Shiwen with the domain? Let me show you! Yi Shiwen sneered coldly. The pair of wings behind him stretched out and flapped. The power of wind and thunder instantly swept the scene, almost turning this place into a wind and thunder force field. At this time, some vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts who still wanted to approach were instantly put in a difficult situation. Although these wind and thunder forces could not kill these transcendent realms 7th level and 8th level experts for a while, it could definitely inflict serious damage to them. What is this? His pair of wings is completely different from when I saw it that day. At this time, Yi Xing's eyes in the distance were filled with horror. As a person who had seen Yi Shiwen's pair of demon wings, he did not have a deep impression of it. At first, he only felt that Yi Shiwen's movement technique was fast, but that was all. But he never expected that it would be so terrifying. According to Yi Shiwen's statement, the pair of wings on his body had undergone such amazing changes during this period. If he had known earlier, he would have eliminated the root of the problem. He would not have left this scourge alive. However, he seemed to have forgotten at this time. If they could stop Yi Shiwen at that time, how could Yi Shiwen escape? They would not let Yi Shiwen go easily. Shwa! Yi Shiwen moved at this time. He took a step forward, and his figure disappeared in an instant. Accompanied by the huge wings behind him, he disappeared in an instant. When he appeared again, he was already in front of Crown Prince Crocodile. His appearance was silent, just like teleportation. He appeared suddenly, but there was no spatial fluctuation when the space was torn apart. After he appeared, everyone heard a sharp sound of something tearing through the air. A large area of the air behind him collapsed, and a huge spatial belt was torn open. This kind of terrifying speed stunned everyone. It was even faster than the sound of breaking through the air. How fast did he have to be to reach such a level? Although it seemed like he was just a little bit behind, everyone knew that this represented a difference in essence. More importantly, Yi Shiwen was still in Crown Prince Crocodile's territory. Crown Prince Crocodile's territory affected Yi Shiwen's speed. Without this gravity territory, Yi Shiwen's speed was unimaginable. Is this his final trump card? No wonder Yi Shiwen had such confidence. With such speed, he could come and go freely. Who could stop him? Even if Crown Prince Crocodile caught up, Yi Shiwen couldn't be stopped. No wonder Yi Shiwen didn't leave even though he knew Crown Prince Crocodile was coming. When Crown Prince Crocodile saw Yi Shiwen appear in front of him again at an astonishing speed, he immediately knew that it was impossible to stop Yi Shiwen this time. With such speed, no one here could catch up with Yi Shiwen if he wanted to escape. Perhaps they had to dispatch the clan's law manifestation elders to intercept and kill him. It could even be said that such people were the hardest to kill under the Transcendence realm. What kind of movement skill did he have? How could he be so fast? He had never thought that someone could be this fast. Among all the movement skills he knew, there was no one that could reach this level. But at this time, he didn't have time to think about this problem. He quickly raised a long spear in his hand and faced the incoming attack. Boom! Yi Shiwen's saber momentum unleashed a terrifying power. Originally, Yi Shiwen's saber momentum was as heavy as a mountain, fully exerting his tremendous power to the extreme. But now, it was coupled with his extremely fast speed. The terrifying saber momentum brought by the terrifying power and speed instantly broke through Crown Prince Crocodile's spear and directly slashed on Crown Prince Crocodile's body. The inner armor worn by Crown Prince Crocodile was instantly broken by Yi Shiwen and turned into powder. It couldn't stop Yi Shiwen's saber momentum at all. Puff! Crown Prince Crocodile flew backward. A mouthful of blood spurted out suddenly. His chest was directly cut by the saber momentum. Blood spurted out freely. It was as if Yi Shiwen's saber would split him into two halves in the air. Chapter 976. Seeing Crown Prince Crocodile flying out directly and almost being cut in half, everyone was stunned or frightened. The scene changed too quickly. Initially, everyone thought that Crown Prince Crocodile would have the upper hand when he got out of the territory. However, the situation was reversed in a moment. Crown Prince Crocodile, who initially thought that he could defeat Yi Shiwen after releasing the territory, let alone defeating Yi Shiwen, he was almost killed by Yi Shiwen. How did it become so huge? This Yi Shiwen's speed is as fast as lightning. Among the younger generation, no one is faster than him. What kind of agility technique is this? It's so amazing. I'm afraid that even among the Earth-level agility techniques, no one can achieve such terrifying might, someone said in disbelief. Everything happened quickly. It happened in just a moment. Crown Prince Crocodile was slashed out on the spot. The Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan experts came to their senses at this time and shouted quickly. Crown Prince! Master! The voice was heartbreaking. Crown Prince Crocodile was the hope of the next generation of the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan. Ying, Yihong, and others died in Yi Shiwen's hands. In terms of the younger generation, the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan had suffered a heavy loss. However, no matter how heavy the loss was, it was not as heavy as losing Crown Prince Crocodile. If even Crown Prince Crocodile was lost, then the clan would suffer a great loss. As long as Crown Prince Crocodile was still alive, it did not matter if more geniuses died. At this time, they couldn't care less about Yi Shiwen's power. They rushed toward the field one after another. Each of them was like a mad demon. Facing these Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan experts pouncing on him, Yi Shiwen just sneered. The storm wings behind him suddenly flapped, sweeping up countless wind and thunder power, turning the surrounding into a sea of wind and thunder power. The demon aura contained in it was not repelled. On the contrary, under the control of the demon wings, Yi Shiwen wielded the demon aura smoothly. There was no resistance at all. It was as if Yi Shiwen was a peerless demon. These demon auras were willing to be commanded by him. It was smoother than Isher's command. One must know that the devil wings itself was a magical ability of the devil race. Mobilizing the devil chi itself was a very simple matter. It was not a big deal at all. The power of wind and thunder, wrapped in demon aura, began to twist and rotate, forming a long spear in midair. It instantly pierced through the vast sky, stabbing at the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts who pounced over. These were all Crown Prince Crocodile's subordinates. They were the elites and pillars of the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan. Yishiwen did not mind slaughtering them all. Although he was not a bloodthirsty person and had no special interest in killing, he knew that he could not be soft-hearted when facing his enemies. Shio! 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 The power of wind and thunder wrapped in demon aura condensed into a long spear. Under the control of Yishiwen's spirit, it instantly shot toward these vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts. If it was just one spear, they might have been able to resist it. However, when so many spears came crashing down like a torrential downpour, they couldn't help but feel helpless. On the spot, those vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts who had just promoted to Transcendent Realm 7th level could not resist it. They were nailed to the ground on the spot. The long spears nailed the corpses directly to the ground. The terrifying power of wind and thunder raged on their bodies, taking away their last bit of vitality. Then, it turned into the power of wind and thunder, merging into the nearby sea of wind and thunder power. Yishiwen sneered. Just like Crown Prince Crocodile, the gap between him and these people had reached a level that could not be made up by these numbers. Even if these people's realms were higher than him, with many of them at Transcendent Realm 8th level, their combat power was far from his. They were not his opponents at all. Yishiwen had to deal with Crown Prince Crocodile just now, so he had no way to deal with them. Now, none of them could escape. Yishiwen, who attacked with all his might, was definitely a terrifying enemy beyond their imagination. Those Transcendent Realm 7th level warriors were slaughtered by Yishiwen almost immediately. Although the other Transcendent Realm 8th level experts were not slaughtered by Yishiwen, they were not much better. At this time, they were also resisting Yishiwen's storm-like attack of wind and thunder long spears. When the warriors of various clans in the distance saw this scene, they could not help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. They only felt cold sweat dripping down their backs. Facing the terrifying scene in front of them, they all had the urge to turn around and leave on the spot. Once they reached a certain level, they wouldn't be able to kill them with numbers alone. For example, Crown Prince Crocodile's gravity territory. Even if there were many people, they would have to slow down in his gravity territory. The consequences of slowing down were obvious. They would be slaughtered. Yishiwen's wind and thunder power ocean was even more terrifying. Those Transcendent Realm 7th level vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts were much stronger than them. They could even defeat them. But now, they were nailed to the ground without a chance to fight back. However, Yishiwen was thinking about something else at this time. He was thinking about how to transform the sea of wind and thunder power into the domain that he needed. Yishiwen's understanding of the power of wind and thunder had reached a terrifying level because of the existence of the storm wings. Without an absolute understanding of the wind and thunder power, it was impossible for him to achieve great mastery of the tempest wings. For many people, it might take many years of accumulation and comprehension to achieve. But for Yishiwen, who had the mysterious space, it was nothing at all. As long as there was enough spiritual energy, even divine-level martial arts could be fully deduced, let alone the tempest wings. It was a piece of cake. Whether it was the wind power or the thunder power, they were the few powerful laws and powers between heaven and earth. If he refined the wind and thunder power into his own territory, it would undoubtedly be a powerful territory. At least, it was much more tyrannical than Crown Prince Crocodile's territory. For many people, even if they chose a more common territory like gravity territory, they would not choose a territory composed of laws like the wind and thunder power. Because to comprehend this law thoroughly, they might not be able to condense their own territory in their lifetime. The so-called pros and cons were equal. But for Yishiwen, there was no problem at all. He did not have to worry about such a problem at all. What do you think? I will comprehend my own territory sooner or later. If I comprehend the wind and thunder territory with the wind and thunder power as the foundation, the power will not be small, asked Yishiwen. This is not a problem. Yemo nodded and said, For many people, once the direction of their domain has been chosen, it would be very difficult to change it. This is because a person's energy and time for cultivation are limited. Once they have chosen a direction, they can't change it too much. Otherwise, they would bite off more than they can chew. But for you, this is not the case. You have the help of that mysterious space. No matter how difficult it is to comprehend a law, as long as you have enough spiritual energy, you can comprehend it. In the future, if you have new insights, you just need to add them to it. It won't be a problem at all. Yishiwen nodded. This was also his biggest advantage. So, he did not have to hesitate like others when choosing the scope of the territory, not knowing which to choose. Of course, if people knew that Yishiwen was only in the transcendent realm, and he was thinking of condensing a false territory to compete with the Law Manifestation Realm Master, it would definitely attract a lot of arrogant scolding. The Law Manifestation Realm was definitely not like the Transcendent Realm. Many Law Manifestation Realm experts would be in close cultivation, hoping to break through to a new level within a limited time. Before the end of their lifespan, they would reach the legendary realm of immortality. Moreover, the horror of the Law Manifestation Realm was definitely not limited to the territory. A Transcendent Realm warrior actually wanted to fight against the Law Manifestation Realm with a territory. Wasn't that arrogant? But for Yishiwen, this was a very normal proposition. It was precisely because he had no roots and no foundation on the ancient Baron's continent. He could only rely on himself. It was conceivable that when the news in the demon subduing tower spread, the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan would be furious. Maybe even the Law Manifestation Realm old ancestor would be alarmed. If Yishiwen did not think of a solution as soon as possible, he would have no other choice but to escape in advance. However, even though his mind was filled with countless thoughts, the movements of his hands weren't slow at all. His big hand grabbed towards the surroundings, and suddenly, the endless power of wind and thunder condensed in his hand, forming a long spear. A smile appeared on Yishiwen's face. He suddenly threw the long spear out. Suddenly, the long spear swept out a terrifying wind dragon in midair, tearing the vast sky. It instantly blasted in front of a Transcendent Realm 8th level expert. The Transcendent Realm 8th level expert was already struggling to resist the power of wind and thunder. At this time, how could he block Yishiwen's spear? Boom! The long spear directly penetrated his body. With the power of lightning, it directly blasted his body into the ground. The Transcendent Realm 8th level expert was almost unable to fight back. He was nailed to the ground on the spot. The power of wind and thunder raged in his body, taking away his last bit of vitality. In the end, he finally died. At this time, the wind and thunder long spear in Yishiwen's hand condensed again. Chapter 977. Shio! Boom! Shio! Boom! There was a constant sound of breaking through the air in the sky, followed by a loud bang of heavy objects falling to the ground. Everyone watched Yishiwen's demonic spear blasted out one after another. Each spear could tear the vast sky and take away the life of a vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan expert. The warriors of various clans counted in their hearts, but they took a deep breath. These were the elites of the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's elites. Even for a behemoth like the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan that had been passed down for tens of thousands of years, it was not easy to cultivate such Transcendent Realm 7th level and 8th level experts. What's more, vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan lost so many people in one go. Once this news was known by the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan, it would immediately cause a commotion. Those ancestors who had been in close cultivation for countless years would probably come out to settle the score with Yishiwen. This kind of consequence was terrifying just thinking about it. Only Yishiwen dared to do this kind of thing. He seemed to be unscrupulous and had no scruples. He nailed these vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan elites to the ground as if he was conducting a trial. This was the spear of judgment. Although the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan wanted to kill Yishiwen first, It had to be admitted that Yi Shiwen was indeed ruthless, far more ruthless than ordinary people thought. But only ruthless people could achieve great things. No! Yi Xing's eyes widened at this time. He saw his companions being nailed by Yi Shiwen's spear one by one. He yelled immediately. But before he could continue to shout, a long spear instantly pierced the vast sky and pierced his face. Looking around, there was no one left. In the blink of an eye, Yi Shiwen nailed all of them to death. Yi Xing quickly grabbed a water-escape shield, but how could it block Yi Shiwen's wind and thunder spear? It was pierced in an instant. But it also bought him time. After breaking through the water-escape shield, the wind and thunder power failed to penetrate him. It only blasted a big hole in his body. But even so, it made him feel how terrifying Yi Shiwen was. Yi Shiwen hadn't used his full strength. Just a casual attack from him was enough to seriously injure him. At this time, only Crown Prince Crocodile could compete with Yi Shiwen, who was like a fierce god in front of him. Although they were both transcendent realm 8th level, he finally understood how big the gap between him and Crown Prince Crocodile was. But even Crown Prince Crocodile was blasted away by this person in front of him. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive, wasn't it? Eh? Yi Shiwen was surprised. Yi Xing didn't die, but then he condensed another wind and thunder spear in his hand and threw it out directly. The long spear pierced through the sky like a giant dragon shuttling through the clouds. It was faintly discernible in the sky, appearing and disappearing from time to time. That was because its speed was so fast that it appeared to be faintly discernible. At this time, Yi Xing was even more shocked. Can I escape? He immediately regretted in his heart. He shouldn't have followed Crown Prince Crocodile into this muddy water. No one expected that Yi Shiwen was so powerful that even Crown Prince Crocodile was not his opponent. Even his companions were slaughtered. Stop! There was another loud shout, followed by a huge spirit bomb blasted from a distance. The target was the wind and thunder long spear shot by Yi Shiwen. Two terrifying shockwaves crashed towards each other with unparalleled momentum. Just when the spirit bomb was about to hit the wind and thunder long spear, the wind and thunder long spear seemed to have a spirit. It sped up and dodged the spirit bomb. It directly penetrated Yi Xing's body and entered his body. Boom! Boom! There were two loud noises. One was the aftermath and sound when the spirit bomb exploded in the sky. The other was the terrifying loud noise caused by the wind and thunder long spear directly nailing Yi Xing to the ground. Yi Shiwen! A beast-like roar came from behind Yi Shiwen's body. Yi Shiwen turned around and saw that it was none other than Crown Prince Crocodile. At this time, Crown Prince Crocodile was completely different from before. The body that could only be regarded as majestic had grown more than 10 times at this time. Scales grew on his body one by one. His face was ferocious, and his sharp claws tore through the air. His entire body lay on the ground. Looking over, it was like a huge crocodile crawling in the sky. The aura of an ancient vicious beast made people shudder. It firmly locked on Yi Shiwen. At this time, Yi Shiwen immediately recognized it. Wasn't this the ancient desolate giant crocodile that Yi Shiwen manifested when he beheaded Yi Ying? However, unlike Yi Ying's phantasm, this was an ancient desolate giant crocodile with a real entity. The entity he possessed was obviously based on Crown Prince Crocodile's main body. He mutated. The terrifying power in his bloodline was instantly stimulated. When he was split by Yi Shiwen, the bloodline belonging to the ancient desolate giant crocodile in his body was suddenly stimulated, turning him into such a terrifying appearance. The power in his body also became more terrifying than before. Compared to just now, it was like heaven and earth. The turbulent power boiled in his body, roaring. He stared at Yi Shiwen coldly with bloodshot eyes. He wanted to swallow Yi Shiwen alive and roared in a low voice. Yi Shiwen! Yi Shiwen! Yi Shiwen! He just kept repeating this sentence. He hated Yi Shiwen to the core, and he couldn't wait to tear Yi Shiwen into pieces. The bloodline of the ancient giant crocodile had been stimulated at this time, and he had lost most of his rationality. He was more like a vicious beast now. At this time, there was only a shocking obsession left in his body. He had to kill Yi Shiwen no matter what. The huge gash on his body that had been slashed by Yi Shiwen was also recovering at an astonishing speed. As a vicious beast that existed in ancient times, the ancient desolate giant crocodile's physique was naturally far above today's sea clan. The situation in the field changed again. Everyone held their breath and waited, not knowing what to say. From the beginning, this battle was never within their expectations. Initially, they had absolute confidence in Yi Shiwen. After all, Yi Shiwen killed 2 Transcendent Realm 8th level peak demon generals in front of everyone. However, the arrival of Crown Prince Crocodile and others completely shattered their views. Crown Prince Crocodile's strength from the 6th level far exceeded their imagination. But the next battle completely subverted their imagination. It could be described as ups and downs, with climaxes one after another. Both sides continued to emerge, showing amazing combat power. Whether it was Yi Shiwen or Crown Prince Crocodile, they had far exceeded the level they could estimate. After Crown Prince Crocodile transformed into the ancient desolate giant crocodile, his strength had changed by leaps and bounds. How should Yi Shiwen deal with it? But this time, they dared not make a conclusion easily. Roar! Crown Prince Crocodile roared. Suddenly, countless water vapor condensed around him, condensing into water crocodiles. Even every scale was lifelike as if they were real. Countless water crocodiles were roaring under his will. They were so densely packed that it almost seemed as if they had covered the entire sky, and were falling straight towards Yi Shiwen. Any one of these water crocodiles could tear apart an ordinary Transcendent Realm's 7th level warrior. Hundreds of them rushed down from the sky with terrifying momentum as if they were going to destroy the world. Facing such a terrifying attack, Yi Shiwen just opened the pair of tempest wings in an instant, wrapping himself in it. Boom! 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 Countless water crocodiles rushed to Yi Shiwen's side, and then exploded with a loud bang. Hundreds and thousands of water crocodiles exploded around Yi Shiwen. This was a terrifying power. Even from a distance, everyone could feel the earth shaking, as if the world was about to be destroyed. After a long time, the aftermath of the explosion dissipated. Everyone looked over. The self-exploding force that was enough to kill a Transcendent Realm 8th level or 7th level water crocodile could not break Yi Shiwen's tempest wings at all. A wall composed of the power of wind and thunder condensed around Yi Shiwen's body. All the explosive forces were blocked by these walls composed of the power of wind and thunder. Amidst the smoke and dust, everyone saw an incomparably huge body pouncing in front of Yi Shiwen. It stretched out its incomparably strong front claws and instantly grabbed towards Yi Shiwen's direction. In an instant, it had already grabbed Yi Shiwen's body. Dang! There was a loud noise like metal colliding. A terrifying energy frenzy swept out, lifting the layer of smoke and dust. Everyone saw that Crown Prince Crocodile's ancient desolate giant crocodile had already rushed in front of Yi Shiwen. When his front claws were about to touch Yi Shiwen's body, Yi Shiwen raised his hand to block it. The sharp claws directly pierced Yi Shiwen's palm, but they could not pierce through Yi Shiwen's palm. The attack was stopped instantly. Woo-woo! An unknown sound spread. The surrounding spiritual energy began to fluctuate, and was instantly absorbed by the ancient desolate giant crocodile. He opened his bloody mouth, and an astonishing light beam instantly sprayed out, heading straight for Yi Shiwen. Damn it! Yi Shiwen frowned. After transforming into the ancient desolate giant crocodile, he did not expect Crown Prince Crocodile's physical body to suddenly become so strong. Whether it was speed or strength, it was far from comparable before. Yi Shiwen's physical body and speed that initially had the upper hand suddenly lost its obvious advantage. The only fortunate thing was that after Crown Prince Crocodile transformed into the ancient desolate giant crocodile, he was also affected by the fierce aura. He became cruel and bloodthirsty, losing his sanity. His realm had also plummeted. Otherwise, Yi Shiwen would likely be beheaded on the spot. Chapter 978. After transforming into the ancient desolate giant crocodile, his physical strength almost caught up with the current Yishiwen. However, his realm had fallen completely. He could no longer completely suppress Yishiwen. In general, he was much stronger than before. Facing this terrifying monster surprise attack, Yishiwen had to frown. In any case, the current Crown Prince Crocodile was more difficult to deal with than just now. Similarly, because he had lost his consciousness, he only had the thought of killing. Hence, at this time, he did not care about the injuries on his body and kept pouncing on Yishiwen. It forced Yishiwen to retreat again and again. He had always used this method to deal with others. Now, he was forced into a corner by the other party's more fearless battle. Thinking of this, Yishiwen was a little depressed. Initially, he thought he could easily behead Crown Prince Crocodile, but he did not expect so many changes. His realm was not as good as Crown Prince Crocodile after all. So, when facing Crown Prince Crocodile, who transformed into the ancient desolate giant crocodile, his physical body did not have much of an advantage at all. However, he quickly decided to fight with all his might. He had to conquer any strong enemy. Crown Prince Crocodile was just one of them. Now, it was not that he did not have the ability to fight. If he flinched, his state of mind would not be complete in the future. His future achievements would be limited. At this thought, he no longer hesitated. Boundless star energy surged out of his body and instantly turned into a huge star that smashed out. It collided with the ancient desolate giant crocodile that pounced over. Boom! This time Yishiwen, who attacked with all his might, was different from before. Both sides were sent flying. The muscles on Yishiwen's entire arm were completely cracked. Bright red blood mixed with golden divinity dripped down little by little. On the other side, one of the ancient desolate giant crocodile's front claws was cracked, and blood seeped down. Hiss, it's too terrifying. The strength of their fight is probably no less than the collision of two meteors. Someone in the distance gasped and said, I'm afraid that Crown Prince Crocodile has stimulated the ancestral bloodline in his body and transformed into an ancient giant crocodile. Although it is not a complete ancient giant crocodile, this physical body is probably able to crush mountains. This Yishiwen can actually compete with the ancient giant crocodile transformed by Crown Prince Crocodile with a much lower realm. Is this the embodiment of Yishiwen's true strength? Someone said in disbelief. If Yishiwen had displayed a speed that was as fast as lightning, then what he was displaying now was a terrifying power. Yishiwen was able to compete with the ancient desolate giant crocodile, a terrifying creature from ancient times, without falling into a disadvantageous position. Most importantly, Crown Prince Crocodile's realm was 3 small realms higher than him. With such a huge gap, Yishiwen could withstand the attack of the ancient desolate giant crocodile without batting an eyelid. This was the most terrifying part. The two sides fought until now. Crown Prince Crocodile kept showing his trump cards, and Yishiwen did the same. He kept showing his trump cards, not weaker than Crown Prince Crocodile. Crown Prince Crocodile's physical body was recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye, as if the injury just now was just a minor injury. However, Yishiwen's recovery speed was faster. In his body, there was a faint phoenix cry coming from it. With this phoenix cry, his body was also recovering at an astonishing speed. He looked at the ancient giant crocodile transformed by Crown Prince Crocodile and launched an attack first. Perhaps the physical strength of the two sides was similar, but in terms of recovery speed alone, Yishiwen was far ahead of Crown Prince Crocodile, who relied solely on his own recovery ability. This was his greatest advantage. The endless destructive power of the stars in his hand was boiling. It seemed as if the surroundings had turned into the void of the universe. Innumerable star power condensed in his hand, and transformed into stars. These stars exploded with a loud rumble under his control. The terrifying power boiled within them, and directly smashed down. Meteor burst! Boom! A small mushroom cloud rose from Crown Prince Crocodile's body. The terrifying aura swept out instantly. Even those warriors who were far away could feel the terrifying power contained in it. Crown Prince Crocodile's scream came from the mushroom cloud. The severe pain did not wake him up, but it made him fall into a more violent state. Yishiwen calmed down a little. The meteor burst just now consumed 1/3 of his chi, but the power was terrifying. It annihilated the atoms directly, raising a mushroom cloud. Although a casual attack from Yishiwen could unleash such power in the true martial domain, the spatial substance in the ancient Baron's continent was much stronger than the true martial domain in the past. It was by no means an easy task to display such power. It had used up 1/3 of his Jinyuan, and it would take him a while to recover. However, the effect was excellent. Through the smoke and dust, Yishiwen clearly saw that Crown Prince Crocodile's huge body had almost burst open. Blood splashed, and bones flew everywhere. His entire body had sunk in. If it weren't for his tyrannical physical body, ordinary people would have been annihilated into powder. But even so, he suffered a heavy blow. Yishiwen! Yishiwen! Crown Prince Crocodile was still roaring unconsciously. His pair of blood-colored eyes were full of hatred. He stared at Yishiwen fiercely, wishing he could kill Yishiwen on the spot. He was in a sorry state, and it was too horrible to look at. However, Yishiwen did not have any sympathy. He took another step forward. His figure turned into a stream of light and pounced in front of Crown Prince Crocodile. Boom! Yishiwen's fist wrapped in endless star power slammed into the Crown Prince's body. Crown Prince Crocodile's body was too huge. Usually, this might be his advantage. He could even have more chi than others, but at this time, it became his disadvantage. Because his body was too huge, there was no way to move fast. Not to mention, he was seriously injured. There was no way to avoid Yishiwen's fist. Yishiwen's fist completely sank into Crown Prince Crocodile's body. Blood splashed out. Crown Prince Crocodile screamed and was blasted away. Yishiwen chased after him again. Boom! 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 Everyone could only watch Crown Prince Crocodile's huge body being blasted away by Yishiwen in midair. However, every time Crown Prince Crocodile was about to land, Yishiwen could quickly catch up. At this time, Yishiwen's tyrannical physical body and speed were greatly demonstrated. It was hard for people to imagine how a person had such amazing attainments in speed and strength. Yet, all of this happened. And this person was called Yishiwen. Yishiwen's every blow was like a meteor hitting the ground, making a loud bang. The invincible star power flowed in Crown Prince Crocodile's body, boiling, and destroying his vitality. As Yishiwen's fists slammed down one after another, his speed was extremely fast. Every punch directly resolved all Crown Prince Crocodile's resistance. Crown Prince Crocodile's old injuries had not healed yet. Yishiwen's punches landed one after another, leaving Crown Prince Crocodile with no power to resist. After some time, Crown Prince Crocodile, who was roaring constantly, finally stopped. Boom! With a loud sound, his huge body directly fell to the ground, smashing a huge hole in the ground. He is dead! Crown Prince Crocodile is dead! Crown Prince Crocodile is dead! How could this happen? Although I have long known that this Yishiwen is a bold person, I am afraid that the Flourish Cloud Sea region will not be peaceful from now on. Everyone held their breath and kept silent. For a time, apart from the demon's roar coming from time to time in the distance, it was really quiet. Everyone was frightened. After Yishiwen slaughtered the entire Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan's team, everyone had expected that this ruthless Yishiwen would never let Crown Prince Crocodile go. However, after seeing Yishiwen beheading Crown Prince Crocodile, everyone was completely stunned. It was not the other Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan's people. It could even be said that the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan's experts who were killed by Yishiwen before were not as important as one of Crown Prince Crocodile's fingers. Crown Prince Crocodile was the next Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan's patriarch. If there were no accidents, he would definitely take over the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan's patriarch in another 1,000 or 2,000 years. In the next thousands of years, he would rule the entire Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan. Such a character died tragically here. This shock was almost comparable to the death of the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan's patriarch. Once this news came out, the entire Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan would be shaken. At that time, the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan would turn out in full force. In this case, the entire Flourished Cloud Sea region would be shaken. The Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan would not give up. It would be another bloody storm. It was a precursor of a storm. Yishiwen could feel the shock in everyone's hearts. The next Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan's patriarch, his importance could not be exaggerated. With Crown Prince Crocodile dead, the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan would probably take action. However, Yishiwen did not regret it. Crown Prince Crocodile was a thorn in his side. Such a person with such potential might suddenly soar to a certain level in the future. At that time, the threat to him would be far greater than now. Even if Yishiwen did not kill Crown Prince Crocodile, would the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan martial artists let him go? That was absolutely impossible. Since he killed Xiangtian, there was no room for reconciliation between the two sides. Chapter 979. Either you die, or I die. There can't be a third outcome. Thinking of this, his gaze became indifferent again. The coldness hidden in the depths became more subtle. In this world, no one can help me except myself. Yishiwen put away Crown Prince Crocodile's corpse directly. If it were just an ordinary sea creature's body, it would not be worth collecting. However, it had mutated into an ancient desolate giant crocodile. It was completely different. In addition, he plundered all the wealth of these Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan experts. He obtained more than 300 million spirit crystals. These were the elites of the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan. Naturally, they had a lot of Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan's wealth. Each of them had a considerable amount of wealth. Now, they all fell into Yishiwen's hands. It also made Yishiwen rich overnight again. He did not have to worry about the lack of spirit crystals for a long time. After cleaning up the battlefield, Yishiwen turned his head and said to the remaining warriors of various clans, "You'd better leave this place quickly. This isn't something you can play around with. The devil generals on the lower floors have already been eliminated. There shouldn't be any problem if you leave now." After speaking, he ignored everything and disappeared in front of everyone. Even if he did not spread the demon wings again, his speed was still fast. He had disappeared in front of everyone in 2 or 3 steps. Everyone felt a sense of loss. Looking at the man who disappeared in the horizon like a deity, he was not at the same level as them after all. It was a rare blessing for them to be able to see the battle between him and Crown Prince Crocodile this time. But in any case, after this incident, the Flourished Cloud Sea region would definitely set off an uproar. Without the interference and command of the devil generals, Yishiwen passed through the 5th floor almost without any hindrance, and no devil generals dared to come out to stop him. All of this seemed to be a matter of course. It was completely different from what Yishiwen had imagined. The 6th layer wasn't a place full of devils, but an environment similar to that of the ancient times. There were boundless mountains and sceneries, and the Lingqi here was almost liquefied. It was very rich. It was as if he had entered a fairyland. However, there were no pavilions or towers in this fairyland. Instead, there was only a desolate scene. From time to time, he could see huge demon beasts flying past. Its shape was similar to that of the legendary divine bird, not like those demons. One of them flew directly above him. That huge figure seemed to cover the sun from afar, casting a huge shadow on the ground. Yishiwen looked over, and saw a huge mountain-like ominous beast galloping at an incomparably fast speed. It didn't even leave a trace behind, whether it was the mountain forest or the grassland. It directly chased after that huge divine bird in midair. Yishiwen looked over, and saw a gigantic mountain-like ominous beast galloping at an incomparably fast speed. It didn't leave any trace behind, whether it was the mountain forest or the grassland. Could it be that I've returned to the primordial era? Yi Shiwen couldn't help but be surprised when he saw this scene. One must know that this scene was just like the legends that had been told countless times. It was a scene that belonged to the desolate era. The supreme aura of the wilderness had swept out. However, Yi Shiwen knew that this definitely couldn't be a primordial era. That era had been destroyed for many years. How could it still exist at this time? There was only one possibility. This is the primordial era evolved by the entire demon-subduing tower. Yumo's words revealed the secret, but it was also a shocking fact. It was not easy for any martial instrument to evolve a world, just like Tianyuan Mirror. Not to mention a world on each floor. Finally, it evolved into a primordial era. This was almost impossible for a martial instrument. It was completely imaginable how high the level of this demon-subduing tower was. Yi Shiwen strode into this unknown primordial era world. Huge creatures could be seen everywhere. Of course, there was still a huge gap from the real primordial era. These beasts only had the strength of transcendent realm. There wasn't even a single law manifestation realm beast. Beep! A loud chirping sound was heard, followed by a roar similar to the sound of an airplane landing. A huge voice flew towards Yi Shiwen. Although it had just made its move, Yi Shiwen had already felt it because the huge shadow projected by the huge body had already been discovered by Yi Shiwen. This was a divine bird with flames burning all over its body. It screamed and opened its sharp claws, grabbing towards Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen snorted coldly, turned around directly, and blasted out a punch. Boom! This transcendent realm 8th level fiery bird was not Yi Shiwen's opponent at all. It was directly blasted away by a punch. Its 2 claws were blasted into 2 on the spot. This fiery bird never expected that the seemingly weak human it chose was so strong. In other words, Yi Shiwen's physical body was so strong that he could make it tremble in fear with a punch. It immediately spewed out a mouthful of flames, which turned into a fire pillar and spurted directly at Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen's hands glowed with golden light. He spread them out directly, then grabbed and tore it fiercely. This fire pillar was immediately torn in half by him, turning into a cluster of sparks. At this time, the fiery bird suddenly turned around and fled. It directly spread its wings and fled. How could it not know Yi Shiwen's strength at this time? It directly turned into a cluster of flames, passing in front of Yi Shiwen's eyes. Yi Shiwen did not hesitate and immediately chased after it. Although this fiery bird was not too powerful for Yi Shiwen, it could definitely set off a storm in the outside world. Even the Crown Prince Crocodile before entering the demon-subduing tower might be threatened. Yi Shiwen directly chased after it. Before he could catch up, 5 or 6 human clan experts appeared in front of him. The leading artist was none other than Si Konghao. When Si Konghao saw the flaming bird, he immediately opened his fan and waved it fiercely. Suddenly, countless chi blades appeared from the fan, forcing the flaming bird to flee. If it wasn't for Yi Shiwen who was behind it, it might have already turned around and fled. At this time, Si Konghao did not know why this fiery bird rushed forward despite knowing that it was a dead end. However, he was excited when he saw this fiery bird throwing itself into the trap. Si Konghao took the lead and rushed forward. The fan slashed out a crescent-shaped air blade, directly cutting a huge wound on the fiery bird's chest. Hot blood suddenly spurted out like floating flames in the sky. Yi Shiwen saw it clearly in the distance. Si Konghao's cultivation had made great progress in the past few months. Although he was not as good as the Crown Prince Crocodile, he had definitely surpassed the Crown Prince Crocodile's level before entering the demon-subduing tower. In terms of progress, Si Konghao was not inferior to the Crown Prince Crocodile at all. He had already cultivated to the peak of Transcendent Realm 8th level. He could enter the Transcendent Realm 9th level at any time. He could even compete with some weak Transcendent Realm 9th level experts. Although the fiery bird in front of him was powerful, how could it compete with Si Konghao, whose strength had improved greatly? The fiery bird screamed and wanted to escape. However, Si Konghao would not let it escape. He immediately fanned a huge wind mass. It was like a huge air shield, locking the fiery bird in it. The fiery bird screamed and struggled, but there was no way to escape. The thin layer of air shield seemed to be heavy, making it impossible to escape. Si Konghao was not in a hurry. He went up directly and said, "Are you going to surrender to me or be beheaded on the spot?" Si Konghao knew that this fiery bird's spiritual wisdom should have been developed. At least, it understood such a basic choice. This was because this strange flame bird was also very rare. If it was placed in the outside world, it would also be a ferocious creature. To subdue such a demonic pet in other places was not an easy task. Not to mention that the probability of encountering it was not high. It was also necessary to be able to subdue it. The most important thing was that this fiery bird was still young. It had great potential in the future. It might even cultivate to the law manifestation realm. Under Si Konghao's threat, the fiery bird could only let out a mournful cry and lowered its head to show its submission. Si Konghao was overjoyed when he saw this fiery bird surrender. He quickly signed a demonic pet contract with the fiery bird. Now, this fiery bird belonged to him. Gaining the loyalty of this bird was tantamount to gaining a powerful helper for Si Konghao. His strength had increased exponentially. After being trained by him, this flaming bird would probably become even more powerful. Right at this moment, he suddenly shouted, "Who's there?" His eyes were like two sharp long knives, breaking through the void and looking in the direction of Yishiwen. Seeing that his figure had already been exposed, Yishiwen didn't have any intention of hiding, so he walked straight out. "It turns out to be Brother Yi." Si Konghao saw that it was Yishiwen, and he immediately breathed a sigh of relief. No matter what, Yishiwen was also a human. He was closer to him than the Sea clan or the Sea Demon clan. Suddenly, he seemed to understand something. No wonder this fiery bird would flee in panic. It turned out that there was this ferocious beast chasing it. Chapter 980. He and a few of his subordinates had been paying attention to this flaming bird for more than 10 days. It could be said that they had planned this for a long time. However, this flaming bird did not stop at all, rendering all their plans useless. Moreover, because their speed was not as fast as this flaming bird, they could only chase it from behind. Who knew that this time, when they were halfway through the chase, this flaming bird actually did not turn around and rush back. This immediately made this group of people overjoyed. They did not think about the reason. But now that they thought about it, most of the reason should be Yishiwen. Although they had not seen each other for a few months, he did not know Yishiwen's current strength. But just based on the fight with Crown Prince Crocodile outside, he knew that Yishiwen's true combat power was not inferior to Crown Prince Crocodile. Crown Prince Crocodile, even if he retained his strength a few months ago, was definitely a ferocious god. He could chase this flaming bird everywhere. Even if his current strength was not the same as before, even if Crown Prince Crocodile a few months ago appeared in front of him, he would not be his opponent. However, he did not dare to underestimate Yishiwen. Yishiwen could fight against the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan until now without being beheaded by them. How could he be simple? He asked himself that if there was no support from the sect, it was impossible for him to fight against the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan alone. But Yishiwen did it. No matter how many coincidences there were, Yishiwen was not someone he could underestimate. No wonder this flaming bird was so flustered. It would rather choose to barge in here than go back. But at this time, he was somewhat embarrassed. This flaming bird was obviously Yishiwen's prey. Yishiwen also chased it here, but now it was intercepted by him. For him, this was a little embarrassing, but it was just a little embarrassing. It was simply impossible for him to hand over this flaming bird that he had subdued with great difficulty. Yishiwen looked at Si Konghao and just smiled. He seemed to see through Si Konghao's thoughts at a glance, but he did not care. He did not intend to snatch the flaming bird. Although the flaming bird was injured by him and fled in the beginning, he did not have the slightest intention of retrieving the flaming bird. He did not even think about taking back the flaming bird. He did not even think about being a demonic pet. Even if he caught it, he would kill it. Because in his heart, only the wolf cub would have such a role. Although the wolf cub was definitely not as simple as a demon pet in his heart, it was more like a friend. Moreover, he also had a good impression on Si Konghao. Anyway, Si Konghao had helped him before. Otherwise, the demonic saber would fall into the hands of Crown Prince Crocodile. It was impossible for him to fall out with Si Konghao because of this flaming bird. Thinking of the wolf cub, Yi Shiwen suddenly felt a little melancholy. He hadn't seen the wolf cub for many years. Perhaps for many people, the wolf cub's strength was nothing, but for Yi Shiwen, it was irreplaceable. Since the wolf cub was willing to protect Yi Yuan's school for him, there was no such thing as abandonment between them. But this was just a thought, nothing more. The wolf cub was not somewhere else, but on the Demon Island. The old man who was guarding the Demon Island had personally taken it in and taught it. Although he was a tomb slave in the true martial world, but he still had a deep respect for the old man who guarded the tomb. He had been guarding the tomb day after day for countless years. Most importantly, even now, he still couldn't see through the old man guarding the tomb. He might be a Transcendence Realm expert. His teachings were much better than Wolf Cub's self-study. Before the Wolf Cub left, it still had a carefree smile on its face, saying that it would shock the world when it came out of seclusion. Yi Shiwen had been waiting. However, he hadn't expected that decades of waiting would pass by. For others, a few decades might be nothing more than a blink of an eye. However, for someone like Yi Shiwen who had lived for more than 100 years, a few decades was already a very long time. He hadn't contacted Wolf Cub for a very long time. There hadn't been any news about Hua Menghan for a long time besides the Wolf Cub. The ancient Phoenix world was merely a myth in the true martial world. In fact, it was just a legend. Even the existence of the legendary Phoenix was doubtful. So, how could she possibly know much about the ancient Phoenix world? The things that Yi Shiwen knew about the ancient Phoenix world had been told by Yemo. And it was something that had happened long before Yemo had perished. In fact, it had happened a long time ago. He didn't know what the ancient Phoenix domain was like now. After coming to the ancient Baron's continent, although he spent most of his time on the run, he still had some understanding. However, the result made him very depressed. Even in the ancient Baron's continent, the ancient Phoenix domain was still a legend. In other words, it wasn't something that the people he had come into contact with could understand. The only difference was that the people of the ancient Baron's continent were very certain about the existence of the ancient Phoenix domain. However, the Phoenixes had already lived in seclusion in the ancient Phoenix domain a long time ago. Now, other than some immortal inheritances that had been passed down for many years, no one knew where the ancient Phoenix domain was. Yemo might know, but he didn't tell Yi Shiwen. He only said that Yi Shiwen's current strength wasn't enough to go to the ancient Phoenix domain and bring Hua Mengyao back. Chapter 981. This was a piece of news that could turn the entire flourished Cloud Sea region upside down. Unlike Yi Shiwen, Si Konghao, who came from a major force in the flourished Cloud Sea region, knew very well the influence of the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan in the flourished Cloud Sea region. Moreover, Crown Prince Crocodile's status in the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan. Even if Si Konghao and Crown Prince Crocodile were not on good terms, he never thought of killing Crown Prince Crocodile. Similarly, even if Crown Prince Crocodile was angry that Si Konghao helped Yi Shiwen to snatch the demonic saber, Crown Prince Crocodile did not really kill him. Because when they enjoyed the convenience brought by the major forces, they were also bound by such and such rules. There were many things to consider. Although Crown Prince Crocodile was tyrannical and domineering, he would not touch the rules here at will. These rules protected others, but they also protected himself. All forces would not easily destroy this balance if it was not necessary. But obviously, everyone was wrong. They would abide by this rule, but for an outsider like Yi Shiwen, the rules were fleeting. Since he did not enjoy the benefits of this rule, naturally, there was no need to maintain this order and rule. Most importantly, the guy in front of him was a guy who dared to poke a hole in the sky. If the sky was blocking in front of him, he dared to poke a hole in the sky. Yishuan dared to pull the tiger's teeth and snatch the saber from Crown Prince Crocodile. But he still did not expect that Crown Prince Crocodile would be killed. What made him even more unbelievable was that Crown Prince Crocodile, who was so powerful, was not Yishuan's opponent. Yishuan killed him. So, how strong was Yishuan now? Just thinking about it made people suck in a mouthful of cold air. The corner of Si Konghao's mouth couldn't help but flash a bitter smile. These prodigies were more prodigious than the other. Initially, he thought he was already good, but compared with Crown Prince Crocodile, there was still a big gap. However, compared with Crown Prince Crocodile and Yishuan, it was nothing. Brother Yi is really powerful. I admire you, Si Konghao said with a cupped fist. But the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan will definitely not give up. Brother Yi, it is better to be prepared in advance. There is a question that I have always wanted to ask. Why are you staying on the 6th floor? Didn't you go to the 7th floor? Yishuan asked. Although the 6th floor seemed to have a lot of benefits, in this primordial world, it was nothing compared to the 7th floor. If he could subdue this demon-suppressing pagoda, then all the benefits would naturally belong to him. Compared to that, the 6th floor was nothing. However, he saw that Crown Prince Crocodile, Si Konghao, and others still stayed on the 6th floor and did not go to the 7th floor. This puzzled him. Sigh, there's something Brother Yi doesn't know. At this time, Si Konghao smiled bitterly and said, It's not that we don't want to go to the 7th floor, but we can't go up at all. At the entrance of the 6th floor to the 7th floor, there is a demonic beast that has been sleeping for God knows how many years. It might have already stepped into the law phase realm. No one dares to disturb this demonic beast. Yishuan suddenly took a breath of cold air. If this was the case, then no one could pass. The gap between the transcendent realm and the law phase realm was like heaven and earth. Even if he entered the transcendent realm's 6th level now, it was impossible to be the opponent of a law phase demonic beast. What's more, it might be a demonic beast that survived countless years ago. In ancient times, the environment was much harsher than now. The demonic beasts that could survive in that era, without exception, were much more tyrannical than now. Just like the ancient desolate giant crocodile's bloodline in Crown Prince Crocodile's body, it was a peerless vicious beast that rampaged in the Imperial Ants era. Those vicious beasts that survived in ancient times were definitely more tyrannical than the demonic beasts today. They were the overlords among the demonic beasts of the same level. No wonder these arrogant elites didn't even dare to awaken this demonic beast, let alone breaking through. Against the Transcendence Realm demonic beast, even they had to hide. Now, all forces have sent letters to their seniors. I'm afraid it won't take long for a large number of law phase experts from major forces to come. As far as I know, the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan will also send a few law phase old antiques. Si Konghao didn't say anything, but Yishuan already understood what he meant. It was better to leave quickly before the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan's experts arrived. Otherwise, it would be over if they blocked him. Transcendent Realm and Law Phase Realm were not the same concept at all. Any Law Phase expert, even if he had not condensed his own territory, could easily defeat a dozen half-step Law Phase experts. If he condensed his own territory, no matter how many came, he would die. There was an absolute gap between having a territory and not having it. Yishuan pondered for a while, considering whether to leave or stay. If he stayed, the danger was needless to say. He might be blocked by the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan's law phase experts at any time. However, if he didn't stay, the demon-subduing tower would be out of his reach. Yishuan, you are definitely not the opponent of those law phase experts now, said Yimo's voice. Because they have territory. In this aspect, they can completely rely on their powerful strength to kill you. It is not Ihong or Crown Prince Crocodile's pseudo-territory, but a real territory. If you don't have a territory, it is impossible to compete with them. Yishuan nodded. He understood this very well, so he was also hesitant. However, if you can condense your own false domain during this period of time, then you still have a fighting chance. Said Yemo aloud. Only a territory can fight against a territory. Even if it is a pseudo-territory, it is still a territory. If you can condense a pseudo-territory, with the speed of your storm wings, you can at least escape from the law phase experts. If it comes to the time to compete for the control of the demon-subduing tower, you may still have a fighting chance. Yishuan thought about it and calmly analyzed Yemo's words. If he stayed, it was needless to say that he might die at any time. However, as the saying goes, wealth comes from danger. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Yishuan immediately made up his mind. He said, I got it. Anyway, thank you for the reminder. If there is a chance in the future, I will repay you. Si Konghao's news might be a trivial matter for him, but for Yishuan, it was a point that could lead to his death. If he didn't know about it, he might fail miserably here. It's just a piece of cake. Among the human race, it is rare to have a genius like Brother Yi, said Si Konghao. From the standpoint of the human race, they were much closer all of a sudden. Since the flaming bird had already been taken away by Si Konghao, then Yishuan didn't plan to stay here any longer. Moreover, his mind was now filled with thoughts on how to condense his own pseudo-domain. He didn't want to stay here for even a moment longer. He immediately bid farewell, crossed the vast sky, and disappeared into the sky. Looking at Yishuan's disappearing back, Si Konghao sighed and said, From now on, there will be many troubles in the flourished Cloud Sea region. Fortunately, such a peerless character came from the human race. Otherwise, the human race in the flourished Cloud Sea region would have to live under his shadow for thousands of years. Young master, do you want us to investigate his background? At this time, an expert behind him said, No, such a character is not immortal. If he knows about it, it will be disadvantageous to us. Anyway, as long as we are friendly to him, he will not harm us. That's enough. Maybe one day in the future, he will become our helper. Si Konghao shook his head quickly and said, What a joke. In his eyes, Yishuan had become a peerless demon. Yishuan was ruthless and bold. He even dared to kill Crown Prince Crocodile. There was nothing Yishuan didn't dare to do. Once Yishuan was annoyed, then even Si Konghao would suffer. Such a character could only be on good terms, not hostile. At this time, he remembered Pei Xingqian's previous statement, and couldn't help but praise Pei Xingqian's brilliance. Whether Pei Xingqian was pretending or not, at least he had roped in this unknown expert. Just like the unparalleled sword, he also appeared suddenly. No one knew his identity, and no one knew which force he belonged to. However, he was notoriously difficult to deal with. Si Konghao even had a faint guess in his heart. Maybe Yishuan came from the ancient Baron's continent. Maybe he was the disciple of a behemoth in the ancient Baron's continent. In the hearts of all humans in the Endless Sea region, the ancient Baron's continent was their foundation. It was the base camp of the human clan. Most of the top human experts were gathered there. Although they might not have been to the ancient Baron's continent even once in their lives, this did not hinder the sacred status of the ancient Baron's continent in their hearts. If he really came from the ancient Baron's continent, then it's really interesting, Si Konghao whispered. Yishuan didn't know how Si Konghao guessed his identity, but he didn't care. At this time, he had appeared at the entrance of the 6th to 7th floors. On the 6th floor, although it was like the ancient Baron's world, with powerful ancient exotic beasts living, they were not densely distributed. Unlike the other floors, demons could be seen almost everywhere. Therefore, Yishuan only spent an hour to fly to the entrance of the 6th to 7th floors. Chapter 982. Sure enough, just as Si Konghao had said, there was a huge mountain range that was thousands of meters long lying at the entrance of the entire 6th floor. Although it was just a mountain range, but Yishuan could feel that it was full of vitality. Even the entire mountain range would rise and fall along with bursts of rhythmic breathing. Yishuan judged on the spot that there was a terrifying behemoth lying here. It seemed to be in a deep slumber. He didn't know how many years it had been in slumber, but its body was covered with dust, and it had slowly formed such a magnificent mountain range. Just looking at that incomparably huge body, Yishiwen had a feeling of goosebumps all over his body. Although the bigger the body, the more powerful it was, but when Yishiwen's divine sense approached it, it was immediately shredded into pieces by that invisible aura chi shield. From head to toe, this vicious beast exuded a terrifying aura that made one's heart palpitate. No wonder Crown Prince Crocodile, Poisonous Young Master, Flaming Young Master, and others dared not approach. Let alone breaking through, they did not even dare to awaken this vicious beast. Yishiwen immediately gave up on the idea of forcing his way through. Although the beast might not wake up if he forced his way through, he would be killed on the spot if it really did wake up. This was not a difficult task for a law manifestation realm beast. After thinking about it, he decided not to take the risk. Although he had made many risky decisions in his life, he rarely did things that he had no confidence in. Even if he decided to stay and face the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts, he was not without some confidence and preparation. Moreover, it shouldn't be long before the old guys in the law phase realm from the various clans rushed over. At that time, he would wait and see. If they could kill this fierce beast, then he would try to fish in troubled waters. However, if even those old guys in the law phase realm were not a match for it, he would definitely turn around and leave on the spot. Thinking of this, he did not hesitate and immediately left the 6th floor to the entrance of the 7th floor. Yishiwen entered a forest and came to a swamp. The pair of wings behind him spread out instantly. Swish! At once, there was a flash of lightning and thunder in the entire sky. The wind was strong. Countless wind and thunder powers were boiling. The entire swamp was instantly vaporized by the power of wind and lightning. Yishiwen was sitting cross-legged in the center of the power of wind and thunder. He was surrounded by countless power of wind and thunder. His body was covered with golden divinities. The shadow of a towering tree appeared behind him. This tree shrouded Yishiwen with colorful divine light. Yishiwen only felt that his thoughts were clear for a moment. Nothing could shake his willpower, nor could it make him emotionally moved. Whoosh! A blood-red figure jumped out of Yishiwen's body. It was Yemo, who had rushed out with Tianyuan mirror. In this place that resembled ancient times, dangers lurked everywhere. Just in this swamp alone, there were many transcendent realm beasts. However, they were all suppressed to death by Yishiwen's tempest wings. Now that Yishiwen was in close cultivation to comprehend his own domain, he couldn't be disturbed at all. At this time, it was best to let Yemo guard him. Yemo wrapped Tianyuan mirror and instantly turned into a blood-red figure. He flew into the air. A flying beast that was attracted by the strange phenomenon here was instantly swept by a blood-red light. It turned into a cloud of blood mist and was absorbed by Tianyuan mirror. This was the advantage of Yemo. Because he had his own spiritual wisdom, he didn't need Yishiwen to explain many things to him. He could also do it in an orderly manner. He was even more thoughtful than Yishiwen. If it were other martial instruments, they might be more powerful than the current Yishiwen, but they wouldn't be as smart as Yemo. It was like the difference between an ordinary computer and a smart computer. Seeing that Yemo had begun to guard him, Yishiwen also calmed down. He sat cross-legged and carefully comprehended the power belonging to wind and thunder. Comprehending one's own domain was something that could only be done by oneself. Others could not help you because everyone cultivated different martial arts, and everyone's comprehension of the heavenly way was also different. In fact, the domain was the direct embodiment of every martial artist's own martial arts comprehension and will. Therefore, every martial artist was different. No one could help anyone. Even Ihong, who was personally taught by Crown Prince Crocodile, could only create a nondescript gravity pseudo-domain. It didn't even exert 1% of Crown Prince Crocodile's power. This was a brand new field for everyone, a field that they had to explore on their own. It could be said that the perception of the domain comprehended by the predecessors could only be regarded as a reference. Generally speaking, the more profound the background of the major forces, the more such insights they left behind. With the experience left by these predecessors, the difficulty would naturally be reduced a lot. Yishuin didn't have such a huge force that he could rely on, but he had Yemo. Yemo was merely a tool spirit, but he had followed the Devil King for so many years. So, he could be said to be very knowledgeable. He was imperceptibly influenced by what he saw and heard. So, he knew many divine-level power techniques. Not to mention, it was just a small matter like condensing his own domain. For a martial Tao master like him, it was not a big deal at all. Although most of what he knew were Demon Clan's martial arts, all his experiences were from the Demon Clan's experts condensing the domain. It was even the legendary experience of Demon King condensing the domain. It was not the same as Yishuin, a human clan's situation. However, it was a great reference. As the saying goes, one method is the same as all methods. With a master like Yemo guiding him, he could naturally get rid of the surface and see the most fundamental essence. Even compared to the disciples of those big powers, this condition was much better. Even if there were powerful ancestors in their clans or sects, could those old ancestors be like Yemo, who was always beside him and giving him pointers? Of course not. But even so, Yishuin didn't dare to be careless. After all, the path of the predecessors belonged to the predecessors. No matter how much experience they had, it could not be 100% suitable for him. Especially when he was condensing the domain of the power of wind and thunder. It was forcefully condensed under the circumstances that he had not reached the law manifestation realm. The difficulty in it could be imagined. In his body, countless spirit crystals were burning, and then turned into spiritual energy, instilling into the mysterious space. The mysterious space was like spinning silk from a cocoon, branding all kinds of deduced information into Yishuin's mind. It was like a supercomputer that could calculate hundreds of trillions of times per second, branding the deduced information into Yishuin's mind at every moment. Yishuin's understanding of the domain was also gradually deepening. The domain is formed by the condensation of countless laws. Every law is like a brick. The more laws there are, the more powerful the domain will be. The fewer laws there are, the simpler the domain will be. If I can understand all the laws, I can even practice the earth, fire, water, wind, and creation in my own domain. In the end, the domain can even become a god's kingdom. Bit by bit, the information about the domain fell into Yishuin's eyes. As long as the information was deduced, Yishuin could almost immediately grasp it and understand it. Yishuin could even say that many law manifestation realm experts might not have his understanding of the domain. If he entered the law manifestation realm now, he could almost immediately condense his own domain. However, this was not without a price. Just the deduction of some basic information of this domain had cost Yishuin hundreds of millions of spirit crystals, and this was just some basic information. If he wanted to continue to deduce more in-depth information, he was afraid that even 1 billion more spirit crystals would not be enough. However, for the current Yishuin, this was already enough. For ordinary people, they might need to spend 10 years, decades, or even hundreds of years to comprehend things. For Yishuin, as long as he had enough spirit crystals, he could quickly accomplish it. Yishuin immediately began to comprehend the power of wind and thunder after he had comprehended enough of these basics. If the basic principles of the domain just now were the foundation, then the current power of wind and thunder was his most important component. What he wanted to comprehend was the domain of the power of wind and thunder. If his understanding of the power of wind and thunder had not reached a thorough level, it would be impossible to achieve it. It could even be said that the more he comprehended the power of wind and thunder, the more powerful the power of the entire domain would be. Originally, Yishuin's understanding of the power of wind and thunder was already shocking. This was because it was impossible to cultivate the wind and thunder wings to the great perfection realm without the understanding of the power of wind and thunder. Now, he was just deepening his understanding in this aspect. Although he had already practiced the wind wings and lightning wings to the great perfection, but he hadn't practiced the wind and lightning wings to the great perfection because the wind wings and lightning wings hadn't completely fused together. Only after they had fused into one and become indistinguishable from each other would the wind and lightning wings be considered to have reached the great perfection, and then he would be able to attack the third stage of the devil wings. That would be a whole new realm, a realm that Yi Shiwen could not touch at all. He did not even know when he could step into the third stage. Now, he was just doing both at the same time, killing two birds with one stone, While fusing the wind and thunder wings, Yi Shiwen's understanding of the power of wind and thunder would also increase little by little, laying the foundation for the formation of the power of wind and thunder domain. Chapter 983. Time ticked by as he continued to comprehend. Yi Shiwen's comprehension of the power of wind and thunder continued to deepen. The power of wind and thunder around his body also began to gradually become docile. It seemed as if countless subjects were submitting to the control of their king. Docile like flowing water, flowing on his body. Yi Shiwen's thoughts were clear. He didn't have any distracting thoughts. He was just constantly receiving the information related to the deduction of the power of wind and thunder. Suddenly, an idea emerged in his mind. If he could attach the power of wind and thunder to his body, and condense a suit of wind and thunder armor, then it would certainly be infinitely powerful. However, this idea was just a thought. He quickly suppressed it to a corner. At this time, the most important thing was to condense the domain and have the ability to compete with the law manifestation experts. At least, he could escape from their hands. In the blink of an eye, 3 months passed in the blink of an eye. More and more experts began to gather in the forest's periphery. A large number of experts from various forces rushed here from the Flourish Cloud Sea region and Chaos Demon Sea region. In the past few months, more and more experts from the Chaos Demon Sea region and the Flourish Cloud Sea region gradually arrived, not just some of the elites of the younger generation of the major forces. There were also many people who fought their way up to the 6th floor from the bottom. However, because of the existence of that fierce beast, everyone was stuck on the 6th floor. There was no way for them to rush to the 7th floor. There were also a few who didn't know the immensity of the heavens and the earth. They wanted to take advantage of the fact that the fierce beast was still asleep and fly over it. Who knew that before they could fly over, they were shredded into pieces by the aura that suddenly emerged. There was no lack of Transcendent Realm 9th level experts among them. However, there was no way to resist the aura at all, and they were shredded into pieces. From then on, no one dared to try and force their way through. Everyone was waiting. They were all waiting for the Transcendence Realm experts of the major forces to appear. If they could kill this fierce beast, then they still had hope. Since they couldn't break through the 6th floor in a short time, everyone immediately began to explore the 6th floor. In the 6th floor, it was like the entire ancient era. Various powerful creatures lived in it. There was even no lack of Transcendent Realm 9th level and half-step law manifestation experts. However, it was unknown whether it was the suppression of the law or something else. There was not a single law manifestation expert. Even so, no one dared to be presumptuous because the unknown vicious beast was still there. No one knew how strong this vicious beast was. Some people even guessed that even if a law manifestation expert came, they would not be a match for this vicious beast. However, this was just a guess. After all, no one could really fight against that vicious beast. The law manifestation experts who were rumored to have arrived long ago did not appear at this time. Under these circumstances, many of the forbidden areas on the 6th floor began to be explored. It was unknown when the environment of the 6th floor began to form, but there were many rare heavenly materials and earthly treasures in the outside world. There were even more than outside the demon-suppressing tower. Although it could only increase one's lifespan by 100 years, it still made many warriors excited. After entering the Transcendent Realm, many life-prolonging elixirs and treasures that were originally useful to them became useless. After all, whether it was life-prolonging elixirs or treasures, they were essentially stimulating the body's potential and lifespan. after entering the transcendent realm, many light-prolonging elixirs and treasures that were useful to them became useless. No matter what light-prolonging elixirs or treasures, they were all stimulating the body's potential and lifespan. Therefore, after entering the transcendent realm, those elixirs that could extend one's lifespan suddenly became ineffective. The law of the world stipulated that one could only live for 10,000 years. It was impossible to extend one's lifespan by one day. Only if one could cultivate to immortality could one break through the limit of 10,000 years. Therefore, after entering the transcendent realm, those elixirs that could extend one's lifespan suddenly became ineffective. The law of the world stipulated that one could only live for 10,000 years. It was impossible to extend one's lifespan by one day. Unless one could cultivate to immortality, it was impossible to break through the limit of 10,000 years. Ordinary elixirs were already useless. Only some heaven-defying treasures could extend one's lifespan under such circumstances. Not to mention 100 years, even 10 years or 1 year was extremely precious in the market. Countless people were fighting for it. Many of them might be in close cultivation, waiting for a year or 10 years. Once such a treasure appeared in the market, it would inevitably cause a frenzied fight for it. Not to mention the transcendent realm, even the law manifestation realm and the experts that surpassed the law manifestation realm would appear. In the face of such a short lifespan, no one could remain calm. They would try their best to extend their lifespan. In the past, let alone 100 years, even 10 years was unattainable for the transcendent realm experts. Not to mention those legendary treasures that could extend one's lifespan by 1,000 years, it was even more of a legend. From this, it could be seen that in the face of time, any martial artist seemed so fragile. Even a martial artist who could overturn rivers and seas and catch the stars and the moon had no way to deal with this butcher's knife of time. The only way was to desperately increase their strength and cultivate to the immortal realm before their lifespan came to an end. Of course, there were also some sealing techniques that could seal people and leave them for future generations to come out. However, no technique could reduce the passage of time. Even these seals could only slow down the passage of time by 10 times, 20 times, or even 30 times. However, the drawbacks were equally obvious. After being sealed, the realm's perception would stagnate and enter a state of suspended animation. However, the body would slowly age. Many people might die in the seal. If the seal wasn't released in time, they might really die in the seal. Hence, this could only be used as a stopgap measure. It wasn't really a good method. Even the methods of those sealed devils and some vicious beasts actually came from the same source. They also used the same method. Perhaps they couldn't kill him immediately, but they could use the seal to slowly grind him to death. Just like the star beast in the true martial domain, it actually used the same technique, but it didn't have such a great ability. It was conceivable how precious this kind of treasure that could extend one's lifespan was, not to mention the Dubhi longevity grass that could extend one's lifespan by hundreds of years. Suddenly, countless warriors gathered towards the forest. Yishiwen, who was in close cultivation in the forest, suddenly felt powerful auras approaching. The weakest one was at least Transcendent Realm 5th level. There were even a few extremely tyrannical auras. But now, he was in the final and most critical stage of his closed-door training. In these 3 months, he had completely comprehended the power of wind and thunder to the great accomplishment. He had also completely integrated the wind and thunder wings. He had officially cultivated the wind and thunder wings to the great accomplishment realm. It was impossible for him to advance any further in the second layer of the devil wings. At the same time, while integrating the tempest wings, his comprehension of the tempest power had also improved by leaps and bounds. He was only one step away from condensing the tempest power territory. An ordinary person might need decades or even hundreds of years of cultivation and comprehension to condense a domain. However, Yishiwen had reached this stage in a short period of 3 months. It was true that he had cultivated the tempest wings and laid the foundation for his comprehension of the tempest power. However, the most important factor was that he was willing to spend spirit crystals. In just 3 months, he had consumed more than 200 million spirit crystals. The consumption rate was like flowing water. However, Yi Shiwen did not feel that it was expensive. He even felt that it was a bargain. As long as he was willing to obtain spirit crystals, he would always have them, but time could not buy them back. Now Yi Shiwen was using spirit crystals to buy time. Was there a better deal in the world than this? However, the consumption in the past few months added up to the spirit crystals he had snatched from Crown Prince Crocodile, and the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan had been exhausted. There were only more than 100 million spirit crystals left. God knew how long it would take to get so many spirit crystals again. It was not easy to rob a fat sheep like Crown Prince Crocodile all the time. Although the successors of the younger generation of other major forces must have a lot of wealth, he had already offended the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan. How could he offend other giants? Otherwise, he would have no way to survive in the flourished Cloud Sea region. This idea could only be put aside for the time being. However, he quickly immersed himself in the comprehension. He was just a little bit away. He absolutely couldn't fail at the last moment. He didn't know when the next breakthrough would be. Most importantly, he was very afraid of those law manifestation realm masters. Without the wind and thunder false domain, it would be difficult for him to even escape. At this time, the experts of various clans outside the forest did not know Yi Shiwen's existence in the forest and swamp. They marched into the forest in twos and threes. They searched carefully and would never let go of the Dubhe life-extending grass. Puff! A green light flashed. A green vine stretched out of nowhere and instantly pierced the forehead of a Transcendent Realm's 6th-level expert. Suddenly his forehead burst like a watermelon. Red and white brain matter splashed in an instant. The few warriors around him hurriedly blasted out a few moves and directly blasted the vine into powder. "Everyone be careful!" shouted the leading warrior. Chapter 984. It could be said that there were fatal points everywhere in this dangerous place. Yi Shiwen wouldn't have dared to choose this place for closed-door training if it weren't for Yi Mo's protection. The reason why he had chosen this place was to avoid being discovered by those experts who had nothing better to do. They couldn't go to the 7th floor, and had nothing better to do. Even Crown Prince Crocodile and others dared not choose to break through in close cultivation here. It was conceivable how dangerous it would be to break through in close cultivation here. He could protect his subordinates, but who would protect him when he was in close cultivation? Of course, it didn't matter if Yi Shiwen comprehended the domain because he could interrupt the close cultivation at any time. Hence, he dared to enter close cultivation here. If it weren't for the harsh environment here, he would have chosen to improve his cultivation to Transcendent Realm's 6th level first. Yi Shiwen's accumulation was deep enough. Now, he just needed to find a suitable opportunity to break through. Everything was logical. This scene continued to play out, but the experts of various clans who were stimulated by the Heaven's Pivot life-prolonging grass couldn't care less at this time. What's more, in this dangerous forest, in addition to the Heaven's Pivot life-prolonging grass, there were many other treasures. These stimulated the warriors of these clans. There were all sorts of people on the 6th floor. Even if one managed to obtain a treasure, they might not be able to keep it. That was because they could be ambushed by others at any time. Death and treasure snatching were happening at every moment. Is there really the Heaven's Pivot life-prolonging grass here? Why haven't we found it after searching for so long? Asked someone. Along the way, 3 or 4 people died in their team alone. This was a hellish place for them. They could die at any time. These Transcendent Realm's 6th level and even Transcendent Realm's 7th level experts could be regarded as experts in the Chaos Demon Sea. At the very least, they could protect themselves if they were careful. If they were in the flourished Cloud Sea region, they could even establish a foundation and establish a sect. But here, they could die tragically on the spot at any time. There was nothing special at all. Just like the expert just now, he was majestic outside, but here, he had no power to fight back at all. Perhaps only a law-phase realm expert would be able to move freely here and ignore these threats. This heavenly pivot life-prolonging grass is not an ordinary treasure of heaven and earth. It is a treasure that can increase our lifespan. This kind of spiritual item has a spirit and can avoid our detection. Now, it must have escaped into the depths of the forest. Our chances of finding it are slim, but even if the chances are slim, we can't give up. Once we obtain it, we will be rich," said the leading Transcendent Realm 8th level expert with flickering eyes. Yes, even he himself wasn't very confident that he would be able to find the heaven's pivot life-prolonging grass. He even knew that there would definitely be many experts coming over to fight for it. The chances of them obtaining it were too slim. However, even if there was only a 1 in 10,000 chance, they wouldn't want to give up. As the saying goes, seeking riches and honor amidst danger. They were very clear about this truth. Who among them hadn't done something like snatching treasures in their lives? They had even been robbed many times. However, this was the world of martial artists. It was cruel and cold. This world's resources were limited. It couldn't support so many people. Everyone had to compete for what belonged to them. Only the one who stood out was qualified to choose. Even if we can't get the heaven's pivot life-prolonging grass, there is a chance to obtain other treasures of heaven and earth. Then, we didn't come in vain, said the man, and the others nodded. If it weren't for this reason, they wouldn't have persisted until now just for the illusory heaven's pivot life-prolonging grass. Moreover, in this forest, the power of wind and thunder is especially strong. One can often see lightning flashes and thunder rolls with the naked eye. This is not a normal situation. Maybe some rare treasure has been born. Many people are going there for that. Quick, catch him! The heaven's pivot life-prolonging grass is here! Suddenly, there was a commotion in front. One of them, the heaven's pivot life-prolonging grass, immediately made the already tense crowd excited. Heaven's pivot life-prolonging grass. Didn't they take such a big risk to come here for the heaven's pivot life-prolonging grass? They immediately rushed towards the commotion without any hesitation. By the time they arrived, they discovered that over 100 martialists from various races had gathered on a flat piece of land in the forest. On the grass, a medicinal herb that was emitting a 5-colored divine radiance was particularly eye-catching. The flickering radiance immediately attracted everyone's attention. The 5-colored divine radiance flowed all over its body, as if it was a divine item that shouldn't have been born in this world. This heaven's pivot life-prolonging grass hasn't fully matured yet. When it matures, it can even extend one's lifespan by 1,000 years. It's definitely a divine item among divine items, someone exclaimed. Everyone knew that the heaven's pivot life-prolonging grass hadn't matured yet. In other words, it hadn't reached the time to be picked yet. However, what could they do now? They knew that it hadn't matured yet, but they still had to brace themselves and pick it. Only the heavens knew how long it would take for the heaven's pivot life-prolonging grass to mature. Most importantly, they couldn't wait until then. If they didn't pick it now, it would be picked by someone else. In order to extend their lifespan, they were willing to do anything. If the heaven's pivot life-prolonging grass of this age were to be purchased in the market, these transcendent realm warriors wouldn't be able to afford it even if they sold their entire fortune. They could only obtain it during the exploration of such ruins. Even among the law manifestation realm experts, only a portion of them could afford it. They could only be the wealthiest group of people. In other words, if they could obtain it, they would be comparable to the wealthiest group of people in the law manifestation realm. It was equivalent to becoming rich overnight. Even if they didn't sell it, they could use it for themselves in the future. The conviction of martial arts wasn't just for show. There were countless transcendent realm experts in the world, but less than 1/10 of them could successfully ascend to the law manifestation realm. Many people would reach the end of their lifespan and die of old age in the transcendent realm. These transcendent realm experts were considered lucky. After all, there were 100 or even 1,000 times more warriors who couldn't even ascend to the transcendent realm. For these warriors, the most helpless thing was that their lifespan was insufficient. Even if it was just an extra year, it was still a little more hope. If they could have an extra 10 years, it would already be incredible. Not to mention 100 or 1,000 years. If it was given to those who were stuck at the most crucial moment, it would be considered useless. If their luck was good enough, they would be able to break through. 100 years was nothing to these warriors who had lived for thousands or even thousands of years. But at the last moment, even a second could make the difference between being so close and being so far apart. Roar! With an angry roar, a red saber-toothed tiger appeared in front of everyone. It looked at everyone with a cold gaze. It had been guarding this heaven's pivot life-prolonging grass for many years. However, it was targeted by these people recently. Although it knew that the other party had the advantage in numbers, it still refused to leave. This was a great opportunity for it. There's actually a saber-toothed tiger. I'm afraid this saber-toothed tiger has already ascended to the Transcendent Realm 9th level. It's also a treasure trove. At this time, many people were already excited by the so-called martial artifact. Seeing this saber-toothed tiger that had already ascended to the Transcendent Realm 9th level, they were not afraid at all. On the contrary, they were extremely excited. In their eyes, this saber-toothed tiger was no longer a saber-toothed tiger, but a moving treasure trove. The skin, flesh, and bones of the saber-toothed tiger were top-notch divine materials. They were very rare. Let's go and kill this saber-toothed tiger first. Then, we will discuss how to distribute the heaven's pivot life-prolonging grass. Someone suggested. At this time, compared to the saber-toothed tiger in front of them, the companions around them had become the biggest hidden danger. Everyone was afraid that when they fought for it, their companions around them would suddenly attack. This was more of a threat than the saber-toothed tiger. The so-called spiritual medicine of heaven and earth must be guarded by spiritual beasts. Sure enough, sabers, spears, swords, halberds, and all kinds of weapons turned into streams of light and headed towards the saber-toothed tiger. Various martial techniques were unleashed and exploded in the sky. Roar! This saber-toothed tiger roared and suddenly opened its bloody mouth. Countless sword auras instantly blasted out, forming a sword rain. The overwhelming sword aura blasted towards the warriors of various clans. Although the saber-toothed tiger was just a demonic beast and a beast, its sword aura was shocking. This sword aura and understanding of sword aura might be innate, but it was enough to shame many sword cultivators. The saber-toothed tiger's sword aura blasted out. Among the hundreds of warriors, more than 20 Transcendent Realms 6th level and 7th level warriors were directly pierced by the sword aura, turning into a hornet's nest. The ferocious aura directly frightened the warriors who wanted to rush over. Everyone stared at the saber-toothed tiger, but they didn't know whether to rush over or not. The point was that even if they rushed over, they were not this saber-toothed tiger's opponent. A Transcendent Realm 9th level demonic beast was enough to keep them here. Among them, the strongest was only Transcendent Realm 8th level. Compared with the saber-toothed tiger that had entered the Transcendent Realm 9th level, they still seemed a little inferior. All of you, get out of the way. Let me do it! A loud shout came from a distance. A mass of demon aura rushed over from a distance with astonishing momentum. Chapter 985. All of you, get out of the way. Let me do it! A loud shout came from a distance. A mass of demon aura rushed from a distance with astonishing momentum. Bastard! As soon as this mass of demon aura came out, a huge fist blasted out. It penetrated the demon aura and instantly landed on the saber-toothed tiger's body. It was also a Transcendent Realm 9th level expert. At this time, everyone saw who it was. It was a burly demonic sea beast clan man. He was tall and had a calm face. He was exceptionally tough. At this time, the saber-toothed tiger saw the demonic sea beast clan man's attack and immediately retreated. This punch was extremely heavy. It might even smash the saber-toothed tiger to death. It was not stupid. The saber-toothed tiger spat out a sword aura more than 10 feet thick and dozens of feet long. It blasted directly towards the huge fist. Boom! An earth-shattering collision occurred on the spot. The aftermath of the terrifying explosion spread out, sweeping out in circles. A man and a tiger fought all the way to midair. The more intense the battle, the more intense it became. Whether it was the saber-toothed tiger or the demonic sea beast clan expert, they were not ordinary experts. At this time, the aftermath of the explosion even sent chills down people's spines. At this time, seeing the demonic sea beast clan expert and the saber-toothed tiger that posed the greatest threat left, several figures immediately leaped out and grabbed the Dubhe life-prolonging grass. A Transcendent Realms 6th level expert was the first to make a move. He was also the fastest. In just an instant, he reached the vicinity of the Dubhe life-prolonging grass. "Damn it, the Dubhe life-prolonging grass is mine! Who dares to touch it?" At this time, a loud shout came from the sky. A huge fist blasted down on the spot. The Transcendent Realms 6th level expert was killed on the spot. He had no power to fight back. Everyone suddenly felt a chill in their hearts. This Transcendent Realm 9th level expert was too tyrannical. A Transcendent Realm 6th level expert was also a respected expert in the flourished Cloud Sea region. However, this person killed him with a single punch. At this time, although they belonged to different forces, everyone had a feeling of sympathy. They were all Transcendent Realms 6th level and 7th level experts. If they were faster just now, they would not be much better off. In the eyes of a real master, these people were no different from ordinary weeds. The overbearing demonic sea beast clan master was evident. He didn't allow any resistance at all. They had always treated others as weeds and ants, but when they were treated like this by others, they suddenly felt a sense of sympathy. This demonic sea clan guy is too overbearing. Does he think it's his just because he thinks it's his? If that's the case, what's the point of us coming here? We can be regarded as the top figures in the outside world, but in the face of these Transcendent Realm 9th level experts, we are so powerless. We don't have a share of these treasures at all. The expert said with a depressed sigh. Transcendent Realm 9th level and Transcendent Realm 8th level were two completely different extremes. In a sense, Transcendent Realm 9th level was already the peak of the entire Transcendent Realm. Strength was another matter. Let's not talk about it. So what if we are dissatisfied? Unless we can defeat them, the Transcendent Realm 9th level expert can already defeat us. If he fights and retreats, even if all of us are sacrificed, we may not be his opponent. But I'm not willing. The Dubhe longevity grass is right in front of us. It's within reach. If we get it, we will become rich overnight. Even if you have money, you must be alive to enjoy it. As the saying goes, an innocent man gets into trouble because of his wealth. Although everyone hated the demonic sea beast clan master, it was undeniable that the demonic sea beast clan master had completely suppressed them. They didn't dare to test whether the demonic sea beast clan master had the ability to kill them in one fell swoop. But this did not mean that they had all given up. Their eyes were firmly fixed on the man and the tiger fighting in the sky. Many people even had malicious thoughts in their hearts, hoping that the man and the tiger would both suffer losses. In that case, they would have the opportunity to continue to compete for the Dubhe longevity grass. In their opinion, this was still a very good chance. The two Transcendent Realm 9th level experts were definitely likely to evolve into a situation where both sides suffered losses. The battle in the sky was getting more and more intense. The two Transcendent Realm 9th level experts were already fighting fiercely in midair. At this time, the strength advantage of the demonic sea beast clan man slowly manifested. This saber-toothed tiger had been beaten back by him. There were huge fist marks all over its body, and there was a broken bone under each fist mark. It could be described as a horrible sight. But even in this case, the saber-toothed tiger still fought to the death. On the other side, although the demonic sea clan man had the upper hand, he was not having an easy time. There were several deep wounds on his chest, which were scratched by the saber-toothed tiger. There was even a big hole in his abdomen, which was directly bitten by the saber-toothed tiger. Its two sword-like teeth were as sharp as a big sword. But at this time, the demonic sea clan expert began to gradually calm down because he had already won. Even if he fought until the end, he could kill this saber-toothed tiger. Of course, it was best to scare this saber-toothed tiger away because this was the easiest way. If he fought until the end, even if he won, it would be a Pyrrhic victory. There were many people below waiting for him to make a fool of himself. He knew very well that these people were all eyeing him covetously. Once he showed any signs of weakness, these people would pounce on him like a pack of wolves. Although he was a ferocious tiger, he still couldn't resist a pack of wolves. The saber-toothed tiger did not follow his intention. It did not retreat but fought to the death. The two sides fought until the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. In the sky, sword aura and fist intent overflowed everywhere, colliding with each other and melting each other. Beast, go to hell! At this time, the demonic Sea Clan man directly grasped a flaw on the saber-toothed tiger. He rushed in front of the saber-toothed tiger with countless demon auras condensed in his hands. He blasted out an unparalleled fist momentum, which landed on the saber-toothed tiger's body. Boom! The saber-toothed tiger's head was smashed open on the spot, and its brains splashed everywhere. Before this saber-toothed tiger died, it directly inserted its fangs into the demonic Sea Clan man's body, piercing a big hole. Blood flowed continuously. No one knew how many internal organs were pierced through. The demonic Sea Clan man suddenly felt his face turning pale. His figure swayed in the air, and he almost fell directly to the ground. Seeing the demonic Sea Clan man's decline, many experts below suddenly lit up as if they saw a huge opportunity. This is a good opportunity. He is now seriously injured. If he comes down to fight for it, he will die. Don't worry! No one knew who shouted, but it immediately caused a commotion among the countless cultivators below. Immediately, countless people pounced forward. At this time, no one pursued who said this because it was their inner thoughts. It was just that the person said it out loud. Immediately, everyone pounced forward. A Transcendent Realm 8th level expert took the lead and directly came to the vicinity of the Heavenly Pivot life-prolonging grass. But before he could touch the Heavenly Pivot life-prolonging grass, countless attacks followed closely behind, directly blasting him into a cloud of blood mist. He didn't even have the time to let out a scream, the attacks behind him were too dense. It was more terrifying than the demonic Sea Clan expert's full-strength attack just now. But even so, no one wanted to retreat. Everyone knew that this was the only opportunity. If they let it go, there would be no more. Damn it, this is mine! At this time, the Sea Demon clansman didn't care about the wounds on his body. He flew down from the sky like a ferocious tiger. He killed a Transcendent Realm 7th level expert with a single punch. The Transcendent Realm 9th level expert who was enraged with all his might was indeed terrifying. This Heavenly Pivot life-prolonging grass, I want it! Suddenly, an extremely arrogant voice came from the sky. A group of people directly crossed the vast sky and entered everyone's eyes. The leader was a young man with a pale face without a beard. His eyes were gloomy and cold. Some people among the crowd already recognized him. Poisonous young master! Suddenly, everyone took a breath of cold air. It turned out to be the poisonous young master. Even now, after many experts entered the demon-subduing tower, the poisonous young master, flaming young master, and others were still the top experts among them. Behind the poisonous young master, there were more than 20 Transcendent Realm 7th level experts. All of them were elite experts in the poisonous flaming dragon clan. Their bodies exuded a fierce aura, carrying an extremely dangerous aura. Compared to these people present, they were much stronger, even though their realms were similar. But everyone knew very well that even if they were in the same realm, they would not be the opponents of these poisonous flaming dragon clan experts. The poisonous young master and others moved very quickly. In just a moment, they had already caught up and directly slaughtered into the crowd. Wherever the poisonous young master passed, there was a kind of pink powder around him. Suddenly, a dozen warriors near him fell to the ground on the spot. They foamed at the mouth, and their faces turned blue. After a while they died. Suddenly, everyone distanced themselves from the poisonous young master as if they had seen a ghost, for fear of being poisoned to death. What poisonous young master? You dare to provoke me? You must die! The demonic Sea Clan man was furious when he saw another troublemaker. Chapter 986. What poisonous young master? Anyone who dares to provoke me must die! The burly sea demon clansman was enraged when he saw another troublemaker. As a Transcendent Realm 9th level expert, he naturally had his own pride. Poisonous young master, flaming young master, and others were powerful, but they were only at Transcendent Realm 8th level. They were not comparable to him. Now, someone was so arrogant and blatantly snatched his heavenly pivot life-prolonging grass. How could he not be enraged? In his opinion, the heaven's pivot life-prolonging herb was already his to begin with. It was even to the extent that he had paid a huge price to kill that saber-toothed tiger. However, he had never imagined that someone would beat him to it. At this time, how could he not be furious? The poisonous young master didn't even look at him. He directly stretched out a big hand and grabbed the heavenly pivot life-prolonging grass. He was determined to get it, not putting others in his eyes at all. Stop! That's mine! At this time, the burly sea demon clansman was enraged. He blasted out a punch. Countless demon aura between heaven and earth condensed. He instantly blasted out an extremely overbearing fist technique. Boom! The poisonous young master's chi-condensed hand was smashed into green smoke on the spot. It did not have time to grab the heavenly pivot life-prolonging grass. You dare to go against me? You're courting death! The poisonous young master's eyes flashed with murderous intent. His face sank, and he said angrily, You dare to be presumptuous in front of me? You're courting death! I have no intention of going against the poisonous flaming dragon clan, but I saw this heavenly pivot life-prolonging grass first. If you insist on snatching it, then don't blame me for being impolite, said the burly sea demon clansman coldly. He directly ignored everyone who discovered this heavenly pivot life-prolonging grass before him. In other words, he didn't care about them at all. Even if these insignificant characters discovered it, what could they do? He was indeed afraid of the poisonous flaming dragon clan, but it was only fear. After all, he was a Transcendent Realm 9th level expert with his own pride. It was impossible for him to give up the Dubhi life-prolonging grass that was almost within his grasp just because of the poisonous flaming dragon clan. Moreover, he was from the Sea Demon clan and lived in the Chaos Demon Sea. That was a place where even the poisonous flaming dragon clan couldn't fully extend their power. Of course, he didn't want to offend the poisonous flaming dragon clan too much. After all, the poisonous flaming dragon clan was an overlord among the sea tribe in this region. If he really provoked them, he might really be chased to the ends of the earth. He could forget about leaving the flourished Cloud Sea region in the future. He wasn't like Yishuan. He didn't have the courage to be fearless, nor did he have that kind of fearlessness. You're welcome? Who do you think you are? How dare you act so presumptuously in front of this young master? I didn't want to start a massacre, but since a pig-like thing like you dares to act presumptuously in front of this young master, don't blame me, the poisonous young master said with a cold smile. He was not a good-tempered person, but he was actually stopped by someone at this time. Who does the poisonous young master think he is? I'll let you see who I am now. The poisonous young master sneered and immediately made a move. A black light flickered in his hand, and a palm directly slapped towards the Sea Demon clan expert. When the black light in his hand touched the air, the entire air was corroded and penetrated. His hand also contained highly toxic poison. The surrounding warriors hurriedly walked out a little more. They were even more afraid to approach. Only then did they remember that this was a terrifying character who once poisoned an entire sea clan to death. It was said that the blood flowing in his body was highly toxic. Any little bit of it could poison a Transcendent Realm expert to death. If such a person dared to approach, he might be poisoned to death accidentally. That would be terrible. Moreover, this was also a temperamental character. Most of the time, there was no standard for his mood. In other words, no one knew when he would suddenly become furious. He might even kill a few people when he was in a good mood. There was no doubt that in everyone's heart, the poisonous young master had long become a person who killed indiscriminately. The Sea Demon Clan burly man suddenly turned pale with fright. He did not expect that the poisonous young master would make a move without the slightest hesitation. This was completely beyond his expectations. But at this time, a sharp light flashed in his eyes. Although he was afraid of the poisonous flaming dragon clan's might, he had his own pride as a transcendent realm 9th level expert. He was not a clay figurine that everyone could bully. This poisonous young master was simply too much. If there was a transcendent realm 9th level expert in the poisonous flaming dragon clan, then he would immediately turn around and leave. However, it was just a transcendent realm 8th level poisonous young master. He was still confident that he could deal with him. After all, transcendent realm 9th level and 8th level were different. He didn't think about how similar the scene was. Just now, he relied on his tyrannical strength to kill the poisonous young master. He never thought much about it. But now, he felt that the poisonous young master was too much. The Sea Demon Clan burly man's reaction speed was extremely fast. He reacted in an instant, and blasted out endless demon aura wrapped in fist intent. ZZ! The fist and palm intersected, but there was no explosion as everyone imagined. Instead, there was a sizzling sound, followed by a scream. The Sea Demon Clan burly man was still majestic just now. He suddenly withdrew his fist and screamed. Most of his fist had melted, revealing blood and bone fragments, which made people shudder. Moreover, a terrifying speed directly penetrated his blood vessels, along his arm, and into his body. The venom was about to spread all over his body. At this time, the Sea Demon Clan burly man suddenly gritted his teeth. He used his left hand to chop off his right arm. The severe pain suddenly made his face pale. His skin was densely covered with cold sweat. His eyes were wide open, looking at the poisonous young master with bloodshot eyes. He was horrified. He was almost poisoned to death by the poisonous young master in the previous exchange. If he didn't act decisively and drag it out for a second or two, he would have died from the poison. Although he had long heard of the strength of these younger generation experts, he didn't take it seriously. No matter how strong the younger generation was, they could only be within the younger generation. No matter how strong they were just a group of hundreds of years old. How could they go against the natural order? But the real exchange just now made him understand one thing. Although they were only the younger generation, the monstrous talents and geniuses themselves couldn't be measured by common sense. The crowd was silent. Everyone was frightened. They originally thought that there would be a fierce battle. Although the Sea Demon Clan burly man was Transcendent Realm 9th level, he was already severely injured. Not to mention, with the poisonous young master's reputation, he would not be an ordinary Transcendent Realm 8th level expert. However, they didn't expect the situation to be so one-sided. The Transcendent Realm 9th level Sea Demon Clan burly man was vulnerable in front of the poisonous young master. Hiss, are the younger generation now so strong? This is the fastest generation I have ever seen. Some people sucked in a breath of cold air. Some of them had lived for thousands of years and had seen many young experts rise and fall. However, they had never seen a generation that improved so quickly. They were only a few hundred years old, but they were already able to beat the old masters to the point where they couldn't even fight back. According to this strength, if they step into the Transcendent Realm 9th level, I'm afraid they can immediately rush to the peak and become invincible. Idiot! The poisonous young master sneered and rushed to attack again. But this time, the Sea Demon Clan burly man did not choose to confront him head-on. Instead, he turned around and left, not daring to confront him head-on. With just one blow, he knew that he was not this terrifying poisonous young master's opponent. Even if he was at his peak, he was no exception, let alone in his current state. You want to leave? The poisonous young master sneered, turned into a dark light, and chased directly. A palm shot out, turning into a monstrous poisonous palm, and directly slammed down on the spot. Boom! The Sea Demon Clan burly man had no time to escape. He was slapped, and his body melted directly into a cloud of blood mist in midair. After slapping the Transcendent Realm 9th level burly man to death, the poisonous young master walked straight down from midair step by step, like an elegant noble young master. However, after witnessing the poisonous young master's ruthless means just now, no one would treat him as a noble young master. The poisonous young master didn't even look at the crowd. No one dared to be afraid of him at this time. A smug smile flashed across the corner of his mouth. As the saying goes, the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the Oreo behind. In the end, it still fell into his hands. As long as one had enough strength, first come, first served, and morality were nothing. Suddenly, just as the poisonous young master walked to the Dubhe life-prolonging grass and was about to pick it up, the Dubhe life-prolonging grass suddenly uprooted from the soil. It instantly turned into a stream of light and disappeared into the horizon. The poisonous young master was stunned for a moment. He immediately yelled in exasperation, "Chase! Chase it!" As he spoke, his figure turned into a dark light and chased after it. He was furious. What does it mean to let a cooked duck fly away? This is it. Shortly after the poisonous young master flew up, everyone, including the poisonous flaming dragon clan experts, followed. In the swamp on the other side, Yishiwen was constantly moving up and down. He suddenly opened his eyes. The surrounding wind and thunder powers seemed to be under his command, forming a domain. Wind and thunder domain, complete! Suddenly, a stream of light rushed straight from the horizon. Before he could distinguish it, he had already rushed into the swamp in a panic. Chapter 987. Yishiwen opened his eyes. She gathered in his eyes, and his eyes lit up instantly. He immediately saw through the stream of light. It turned out to be a Heaven's Pivot longevity grass. Yishiwen did not hesitate immediately. He formed a chi-condensed giant hand and directly grabbed the Heaven's Pivot longevity grass. There was a commotion in his ears. "Chase! You must catch up! Damn it!" This voice was familiar. It was the poisonous young master. Sure enough, the exasperated poisonous young master had caught up in a moment. He no longer had his usual grace, only an exasperated look. The boat capsized in the ditch, the cooked duck flew away. This series of blows made him flustered and exasperated. He simply couldn't care less about his demeanor. "Who dares to snatch my Heaven's Pivot longevity grass?" At this time, a loud shout came from a distance, piercing the vast sky. The voice turned into a sound wave, instantly crushing down. Yishiwen snorted coldly. The sound wave that blasted over was instantly resolved into nothingness. At this time, the various clans' warriors behind the poisonous young master, and the others were suddenly stunned. Who had the guts to snatch the poisonous young master's item? That person must be tired of living. If it was just a moment ago, the crowd only had a legendary impression of these Heaven's Pridelings of the younger generation. However, the previous attack had completely overturned their impression. These young experts were probably strong to an unimaginable extent. At this time, even if a Transcendent Realm 9th level warrior provoked these people, it would be a dead end in his opinion. Now, someone dared to snatch the Heaven's Pivot longevity grass. Wasn't it courting death? Even these people followed just to watch the show. They didn't intend to snatch the Heaven's Pivot longevity grass from the poisonous young master. Among the top geniuses of the younger generation, the poisonous young master was the least afraid of group battles. If a random poison attack besieged him, it would be courting death. When they arrived, they saw the poisonous young master and a young man in green shirt confronting each other. The poisonous young master identified the person's identity. "Yishiwen, I didn't expect it to be you." "Yishiwen!" Everyone was suddenly startled. Many people suddenly thought of who this Yishiwen was. During this time, Yishuan's name suddenly spread among the warriors on the entire 7th floor. There was no other reason. It was because he killed Crown Prince Crocodile. Who was Crown Prince Crocodile? He was one of the top experts in the younger generation. No young expert dared to say that he could defeat Crown Prince Crocodile. But now, he had actually died in the hands of this man named Yishuan. Many warriors on the 6th floor came to the 7th floor and swore that they did see Crown Prince Crocodile die in Yishuan's hands. This was not the most terrifying thing. Even Crown Prince Crocodile and others did not want to go against him. Because of the poisonous Flaming Dragon clan, he was born with a poisonous body. Even the pores in his blood exuded poisonous gas. If one was not careful, he might be poisoned. At that time, there would be no one to help him. Because of this, he had developed an unscrupulous character. Previously, he even dared to stop Crown Prince Crocodile without a care. "Even if we compare fists, you might not be stronger than me," said Yishuan with a grin. After killing Crown Prince Crocodile, he began to cultivate his pseudo-domain in close cultivation. Now, he finally succeeded. He had another powerful trump card. With the existence of this pseudo-domain, he could dominate the Transcendent Realm 9th level. He was truly tyrannical. "Come and give it a try. Let's see if you can block my poison." Seeing Yishuan say so, the poisonous young master was furious. He might not care about the heaven's pivot life-prolonging grass, but Yishuan would never say that he was inferior to the poisonous young master. He sneered immediately. He grabbed a handful of poisonous gas in his hand and blasted it out like a sharp arrow, heading straight for Yishuan's face. The poisonous young master's speed was extremely fast. Everyone could almost see the sharp arrow composed of turquoise poisonous gas flickering. In an instant, it had rushed to Yishuan's face. "Break!" Yishuan shouted loudly. Suddenly, countless air condensed in front of Yishuan in an instant, and blocked his front. Dang! The sharp arrow pierced the vast sky instantly and blasted in front of the chi wall. Suddenly, there was a loud noise. Circles of shock waves blasted out instantly. As soon as they fought, the poisonous young master showed his powerful strength. However, Yishuan also showed a powerful strength not inferior to the poisonous young master in an instant. "You took my poison and return it to me!" The poisonous young master yelled and attacked in front of Yishuan. Above his big hand, the turquoise poisonous light flickered. He was also very clear about Yishuan's strength. Although there might be some misinformation, he saw the battle between Yishuan and Crown Prince Crocodile outside the demon's subduing tower. Although both sides did not use their full strength because the demon's subduing tower was about to open, the two sides were evenly matched at that time. This made the poisonous young master a little more afraid of Yishuan. In any case, Yishuan was at least an expert similar to him. Although the poisonous young master was proud and arrogant, he was not a fool. He naturally understood that he could not underestimate the enemy at this time. Otherwise, he might be the one dying. Boom! The poisonous young master's punch collapsed the entire air. His fist penetrated the air instantly and blasted in front of Yishuan in an instant. The poisonous wind blew in Yishuan's face. Yishuan's body was instantly covered with countless golden divinities, blocking the toxicity. It seemed as if there were innumerable deities chanting sutras amidst those innumerable divinities. Each deity was glittering with golden light. The poisonous gas simply couldn't pass through these deities, let alone penetrate into Yishuan's body. At this time, Yishuan moved. However, no one saw when he moved. They only saw Yishuan's fist suddenly appearing in front of the poisonous young master's face, and blocked the poisonous young master's fatal palm strike. Boom! The terrifying collision between the two sides instantly exploded in midair. The terrifying explosion mixed with golden and turquoise divine light spread out, instantly flattening the surrounding jungle. "As I said, you are not my opponent even if we compete with our fists. Don't force me to fight. Otherwise, you can only humiliate yourself." Yishuan sneered, and blasted another punch. The air shook violently, and the power of countless stars twined around his hand. The surrounding environment turned into the void of the universe. He was the only true God in the universe. The fist in his hand turned into a big star, and suddenly smashed towards the poisonous young master. All of this seemed to take a long time, but in fact, it only happened in an instant. Yishuan's fist instantly blasted. The terrifying fist pressure pressed on the poisonous young master's face. It directly blew his hair back, and the flesh on his face began to distort. A trace of horror finally flashed in his eyes. If he did not dodge, the guy in front of him would definitely kill him on the spot. He would not give him any chance to defend himself. His figure suddenly retreated backward, and quickly avoided the range of Yishuan's fist pressure. Boom! Chapter 988. Boom! Yishuan's fist slammed on the ground in an instant, creating a large pit with a radius of thousands of meters. The poisonous young master was almost smashed to death inside. "You're asking to be humiliated!" These words deeply stimulated the poisonous young master, making him a little restless all of a sudden. No one had ever dared to talk to him like this. However, he didn't have any way to deal with Yishuan because his biggest reliance was his poison. However, Yishuan wasn't afraid of his poison at all. In fact, his poison couldn't even penetrate into his body. Not to mention injuring him, his poison didn't even have the energy to penetrate into his body. This made him go crazy all of a sudden. Encountering such an impenetrable expert was indeed the most troublesome. No matter how one fought, the poisonous young master had no weakness at all. Coupled with Yishuan's terrifying speed, the poisonous young master was invincible. If it weren't for the heaven's pivot life-prolonging grass, he would have left long ago. He looked at Yishuan viciously. He seemed to be calculating the odds of winning if they continued to fight. Was it possible to snatch the heaven's pivot life-prolonging grass from Yishuan's hands? But no matter how reluctant he was, after such a comparison, he realized that he seemed to be unable to defeat Yishuan, who seemed to be wearing armor. At that time, he could only be beaten passively. At that time, he would really lose face. If it had been someone else, he wouldn't have suffered such a loss. He wouldn't have been in such a passive position. However, he had encountered a freak like Yishuan. In the face of such an opponent who had almost no shortcomings, the only way was to defeat him in a fair and square manner, rather than using some unorthodox methods. Although poison was powerful, it could only be regarded as an unorthodox method. Yishuan looked at the poisonous young master indifferently to see how he would choose. His chest was endlessly carefree. After condensing the domain of wind and thunder power, his speed became faster. Moreover, with the protection of divinity, he did not have to worry about the poisonous young master's poison at all. Without poison, in his opinion, the poisonous young master was like a tiger without teeth. He was not a threat at all. Crown Prince Crocodile seemed to be a bigger threat. The poisonous young master meeting Yishuan was like meeting his nemesis. Yishuan didn't want to offend the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan and offend the poisonous flaming dragon clan. However, this did not mean that he was afraid. He just didn't want any insignificant accidents to happen. The poisonous young master just glanced at Yishuan fiercely. In the end, he had no choice but to say bitterly, "Just wait." His expression was exceptionally gloomy. The cooked duck had flown away, and the life-prolonging grass was gone. It was like he had lost the windfall. One could imagine how gloomy he was feeling. However, there was no other way. He couldn't do anything to Yishuan, let alone his subordinates. He had no choice but to leave with his poisonous flaming dragon clan experts. Yishuan didn't care. He just smiled, turned around, and stepped into the sky. His figure transformed into a ball of wind and thunder, and disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. The martial artists of the various races looked at each other in dismay. It was over just like that? No one had expected such an outcome. The poisonous young master had failed to snatch the dub heat prolonging life grass from Yishuan's hands. In fact, he had fled in defeat. He wasn't Yishuan's match at all. I thought the poisonous young master was already very powerful. I didn't expect Yishuan to be even more powerful than him. With just one exchange, he scared the poisonous young master away, someone said with emotion. It seemed to be because of Yishuan's terrifying combat power. Is Yishuan really so much stronger than the poisonous young master? Wouldn't he be invincible among the Transcendent Realm 9th level experts? Someone exclaimed. It was already surprising that the poisonous young master could easily blast the Transcendent Realm expert to death. If Yishuan was stronger than him, wouldn't he be invincible among the Transcendent Realm 9th level experts? It shouldn't be so. I think the poisonous young master is restrained. Otherwise, with the poisonous young master's strength, he wouldn't be like this. I don't know what kind of technique Yishuan's physical body cultivated. It's so strong that it's terrifying. It's comparable to the ancient clans that specialized in physical body. It's terrifying. Some people had a clearer view of the situation. Perhaps Yishuan's strength was indeed above the poisonous young master. However, if his physical body wasn't so strong that the poisonous young master had no room to unleash his full strength, it would be impossible to scare the poisonous young master away. Soon, the news of Yishuan scaring away the poisonous young master and snatching the heaven's pivot longevity grass quickly spread to the entire 7th level's warriors. Faced with this result, the cultivators from the various races looked at each other in dismay, especially the human cultivators, who were completely dumbfounded, not having expected this. Some people cried out in alarm. After young Master Hailong, another matchless young expert was going to rise up. In fact, the human clan didn't have many experts, especially when compared to the sea race. Although the human clan had a lot of experts compared to the sea race, they were at a complete disadvantage when compared to the entire sea race. If it wasn't for young Master Hailong suppressing them in the past, who knew how arrogant the sea race would be? But Yishuan's attack this time greatly lifted their spirits. But for those Sea Clan experts, it was not necessarily a good thing. After Yishuan killed Crown Prince Crocodile, this matter immediately spread throughout the 7th level. Initially, many people still didn't believe in Yishuan's strength. After all, Yishuan could easily defeat a Transcendent Realm 5th level and 6th level expert. Therefore, no one dared to believe that Crown Prince Crocodile would die in Yishuan's hands. Many people even felt that it was a bit absurd and ridiculous. Crown Prince Crocodile was a powerful figure. Many people didn't believe that he would die in Yishuan's hands. At this time, the news that Yishuan made a move to scare away the poisonous young master was like adding fuel to the fire, pushing the whole matter to the peak. In addition, some people with ulterior motives added fuel to the fire. The entire 7th level began to discuss Yishuan's matter. Yishuan had suddenly become the focus of everyone's attention. His attention had even surpassed the speculation about the origin and strength of the monster that was sleeping between the 6th and 7th floor. It became a topic of conversation during their leisure time. But for those martial artists, the bigger waves were yet to come. Because of Yishuan's appearance, the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan once again triggered the pursuit of him. After the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's younger generation experts were beheaded, some vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts came one after another. But this time, it was not the top experts of the younger generation like Crown Prince Crocodile, but the older generation experts like Elder 18. After hearing the news of Crown Prince Crocodile's death, Elder 18 suddenly flew into a rage and hurriedly chased after Yishuan. Many people were not very optimistic about Yishuan. After all, this team of vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan experts led by Elder 18 was stronger than the Crown Prince Crocodile's team. The weakest of them was a Transcendent Realm 8th level expert. There were more than 10 Transcendent Realm 9th level experts. Among them, Elder 18 was considered a top expert among the Transcendent Realm 9th level experts. It was conceivable that Yishuan would face a dangerous situation this time. But what was unexpected was that after Elder 18 ambushed Yishuan, Yishiwen killed 3 Transcendent Realm 9th level experts and 5 Transcendent Realm 8th level experts before retreating calmly. Although Yishiwen could not do anything to Elder 18, Elder 18 could not do anything to Yishiwen under Yishiwen's speed. After cultivating the second layer of the Devil Wings, Tempest Wings, to the peak, Yishiwen's speed had also climbed to the peak. Even a Law Manifestation Realm expert would not be able to match Yishiwen's speed without the suppression of the domain. One could well imagine how fast Yishiwen's current speed was. Chapter 989. Another piece of news shocked everyone. Like an explosion, the news seemed to have grown wings and instantly spread throughout the entire 6th floor. In the 6th floor, it was already particularly lively because of Yishiwen's matter. Now, it was like a pot of boiling oil. Everyone was talking about Yishiwen. All of a sudden, the limelight was overshadowed by the other younger generation experts. Whether it was the poisonous young master, Pei Xingchen, or the pair of demonic sea beast clan siblings, no one had become the center of attention like Yishiwen. In the past few months, Yishiwen had quickly become the focus of everyone. Yishiwen, who could only be regarded as an unknown person, had suddenly become the target of everyone's criticism. Soon, the whole story of the poisonous young master being beaten by Yishiwen and fleeing in a panic was discovered by everyone. It turned out that after the poisonous young master was frightened by Yishiwen, the more he thought about it, the angrier he became. Hence, he led several Transcendent Realm 9th level experts in the poisonous Flaming Dragon clan and joined forces to besiege Yishiwen. Unexpectedly, Yishiwen was enraged. He immediately started a massacre. The few Transcendent Realm 9th level experts with average strength were slaughtered on the spot. None of them were spared. The other experts who had not reached Transcendent Realm 9th level were no match for Yishiwen and were killed one after another. Only the poisonous young master fled in a panic. He finally escaped from Yishiwen's hands, but he was in a sorry state. He fled for thousands of miles all the way. Countless people saw him on the way, which finally spread the news. Amidst the rumors, Yishiwen had faintly become the top expert of the younger generation. He was even comparable to the original Sea Dragon young master, becoming the top expert of the younger generation in the flourished Cloud Sea region. In everyone's opinion, even young Master Hai Long wouldn't be able to achieve such a feat. The enraged Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan and Poisonous Flaming Dragon clan issued a wanted order. As long as they could kill Yishiwen, then there would be a reward of 100 million spirit crystals. They could also enter the 2 clans and become a guest. The Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan and Yishiwen had long become incompatible. The Poisonous Flaming Dragon clan also lost several Transcendent Realm 9th level experts, and several experts below Transcendent Realm 9th level. The Poisonous Flaming Dragon clan dominated the flourished Cloud Sea region for many years. Even the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan had no way to compete with the Poisonous Flaming Dragon clan, let alone other clans. It had been a long time since anyone dared to challenge their dignity. Wasn't that just courting death? Of course, they wouldn't have thought that such a thing wouldn't have happened if the poisonous young master hadn't ambushed Yishiwen. They were already mad with anger, so they wouldn't have thought of this. Even if they had thought of it, they wouldn't have cared. For them, only their clansmen were the most precious. The others were just like ants to them. Although many people were afraid of Yishiwen's strength and means to kill Transcendent Realm 9th level experts, many people still began to be tempted after hearing the rewards and guarantees of the 2 clans. 100 million spirit crystals. Even for Transcendent Realm 9th level experts, it was an astronomical wealth. Not to mention that one could enter these 2 clans as a consecrator and enjoy the protection and resources of these 2 clans. For many individual cultivators, was there any better business than this? All of a sudden, countless people became restless. As the saying went, money moved people's hearts. It was enough to make people take risks. In the past few months, Yishiwen had encountered dozens of pursuits. There were Transcendent Realm 9th level experts, and even transcendent realm 8th level warriors. They overestimated themselves and chased after Yi Shiwen. However, as more and more warriors of various clans were killed by Yi Shiwen, the number of pursuers slowly decreased. In the beginning, Yi Shiwen would encounter nearly 10 ambushes a day. But as time went by, the number became fewer and fewer. No one dared to chase after Yi Shiwen for 10 days to half a month. But once they appeared, they must be top experts who were extremely confident in their strength. After all, Yi Shiwen had killed many Transcendent Realm 9th level experts. Not to mention others. At this time, those who dared to come out must be extremely powerful Transcendent Realm 9th level experts. Although the number of ambushes was decreasing, each battle was more difficult than before. In the most recent match, Yi Shiwen killed a Transcendent Realm 9th level expert. The battle was earth-shattering. The battle lasted for a day and a night. It could be said that both sides were injured. In the end, Yi Shiwen used the domain of wind and thunder power to suppress the opponent. Only then did he kill the opponent. By the time the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile Clan and Poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan experts arrived at the scene, they could only see a large area of blood on the scene. Blood flowed everywhere. Traces of battle were everywhere. It was chilling. After this battle, Yi Shiwen had completely disappeared in front of everyone. Some people said that he died in an unknown place after a lose-lose situation. Others said that he hid to heal his injuries. Some people even said that he had actually left the 6th floor and the demon subduing tower. These news were true and false. It was difficult to distinguish for a while. However, amidst the rumors, an even more shocking piece of news spread. The Dharma Plane elders of the various clans had finally arrived. They had been sent from the various clans thousands of miles away. They did not come from the sealed land as everyone had guessed. This was because many of the Transcendence Realm experts from various clans had already gathered in the sealed area. However, for some unknown reason, they did not rush over from there. Instead, they sent out another batch of Transcendence Realm experts from their own clans. The various clans' experts were baffled. However, the major overlord forces had a rare tacit understanding to block the news. They did not intend to answer everyone's doubts. This abnormal situation attracted the attention of many people. However, no one was able to obtain any information from the experts of the various overlords. At this moment, the discipline of the various overlords was on full display. No one could ask what the reason was. Many people were considering whether to leave the demon subduing tower quickly and go to the sealed site to have a look. After all, looking at the actions of these overlord forces, even if the demon subduing tower could be obtained, it would definitely not be them. When there were only a group of young experts such as Crown Prince Crocodile, they still had a chance to fish in troubled waters. But now, there was nothing for them to do. With the arrival of these law manifestation experts, the matter was gradually out of the hands of these individual cultivators. In a remote forest, in a blood-colored halo, a cyan figure walked out of it. It was Yi Shiwen. Unlike everyone's speculation, Yi Shiwen neither left the demon-subduing tower, nor was he injured. He hid to heal his wounds, and he did not perish. He just found a place to cultivate in seclusion. In the last battle, he fought with the other party until the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. In the end, he used the Tempest domain that he had just comprehended. Only then did he manage to kill the other party. This greatly touched Yi Shiwen. Perhaps he could easily kill ordinary Transcendent Realm 9th level experts. However, if he encountered those veteran Transcendent Realm 9th level experts, he still paled in comparison. Unless he entered the Transcendent Realm 6th level. In that case, his combat power would go up a notch. He could kill any Transcendent Realm 9th level expert in one blow. At that time, even if he encountered a half-step law manifestation expert, he could still retreat calmly. At that time, he could try to return to the ancient Baron's continent through the Endless Sea region. However, although this battle was tragic, it also gave him great benefits. Many things that he couldn't figure out in martial arts suddenly became clear in the battle. As long as he was given time, it would not be a problem to enter the Transcendent Realm's 6th level. Once he entered the Transcendent Realm's 6th level, he could step into the peak and look down on everyone. Originally, he had planned to leave. In this demon-subduing tower, there were many dangers. However, the demon-subduing tower would not fall into his hands. Even if he was arrogant, he was very clear that compared with the law manifestation experts, he was still very fragile. He was not their opponent at all. As long as these experts were here, even if the barrier between the 6th and 7th floor was penetrated, it would not be his turn to control the demon-subduing tower. If it were only Crown Prince Crocodile and others, he could still fight for it. However, when he heard that these law manifestation realm experts were about to move out together to break through the barrier between the two levels and deal with the unknown demonic beast, Yishiwen suppressed the thought of leaving. Instead, he chose to come out of seclusion to take a look. He also wanted to know how tyrannical the beast was. Yishiwen, when the time comes, don't get too close because we don't know when this subduing devil tower was created. That demon beast might also be a demon beast from ancient times. Maybe it's far beyond the law phase realm. If it's really too powerful, then it'll be easy for you to leave. Yishiwen nodded. Anyway, with his eyesight, he could see it clearly even if it was hundreds of miles away. After making up his mind, Yishiwen immediately stepped out. His figure instantly disappeared into the sky, turning into a stream of light that streaked across the sky, heading towards the entrance of the 6th floor to the 7th floor. Along the way, Yishiwen encountered many warriors that turned into streams of light. All of them were heading towards the entrance. Although many of them were only Transcendent Realm experts, and would not be the beast's opponent, they could still watch the battle. On one side was the unknown beast, and on the other side were many law manifestation experts. There would definitely be an earth-shattering battle. The benefits of being able to watch this battle could be imagined. Chapter 990. All the experts on the 6th floor headed towards the entrance to the 7th floor in a grandiose manner. In midair, various streams of light flickered. Many individual cultivators came to the entrance to the 7th floor first. Looking at the vicious beast that had turned into a mountain range at the entrance, everyone could only watch from a distance. They dared not approach. The entire mountain range was rising and falling with the long breath of this vicious beast. This time, Yishiwen did not choose to approach but watched the battle from a distance. At this time, there was a violent fluctuation in the sky. Dozens of streams of light rushed from a distance with a menacing momentum. Each of these people stepped on the streams of light of various colors. Some even rode on vicious beasts of unknown bloodlines, bringing a torrent of rolling waves. At this time, all the individual cultivators were surprised. An extraordinary character had arrived. The Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan has appeared. I didn't expect them to be the first to appear. Aren't they busy chasing Yishiwen all this time? Now they have the time. What do you know? How is chasing Yishiwen more important than getting the demon-subduing pagoda? If we kill Yishiwen and let the demon-subduing pagoda escape, it will be a great loss. But they are the first to arrive. Obviously, they are determined to get it. After the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan, another two groups of people came in a mighty manner. It was the Sky-Splitting Whale clan and the Poisonous Flaming Dragon clan. The three overlords of the Sea clan arrived one after another. After the three overlords of the Sea clan arrived one after another, a group of Sea Demon clan experts jointly arrived. Although the number was much smaller than the Sea clan, their momentum was not weaker at all. The leader was a man and a woman who seemed to be husband and wife. The fluctuations that occasionally flashed on their bodies gave Yishiwen an unfathomable feeling. They were the real terrifying experts in the law manifestation realm. With a casual glance, they seemed to be able to see through everyone. At this time, Yishiwen finally learned the names of the Sea Demon clan siblings from the mouths of others. The elder brother was Boundless Sea, and the younger sister was Boundless Sea. Among the Sea Demon clan, this pair of siblings were famous experts. Their reputation in the Sea Demon clan was not inferior to the reputation and status of Crown Prince Crocodile and others in their respective forces. It was just that Chaos Demon Sea had always been a forbidden area. Ordinary people could not enter at all. The news inside was difficult to spread. Even if it was spread, it was mostly spread among the top leaders of various clans. Ordinary people did not know much about the High Siblings. They only knew that they were the leaders of the younger generation in the Sea Demon clan. However, there were experts of various clans who mingled in Chaos Demon Sea all year round. They were quite familiar with the High Siblings. The man and woman from the Demonic Sea clan in front of them were their parents, but no one knew their specific names. Boundless Sea and High Wuyo were said to be a rather mysterious clan in the Demonic Sea clan. Very few people walked in the Chaos Demon Sea, let alone famous ones like the High Siblings. Although their names were unknown and they were not famous, no one dared to underestimate the parents of the High Siblings. The might of the law manifestation experts was enough to deter anyone. After the arrival of the Sea Demon clan experts, many human experts finally arrived late. A rumbling sound like a battle formation moving came from the horizon. A team of chariots crossed the horizon. The few macho men at the front had unfathomable and terrifying aura. Among the crowd, Yi Shiwen also saw Pei Xingqian in the bronze chariot. Pei Xingqian, who was among those people, was more composed. His aura was restrained, but he was in high spirits. It seemed that he was not far from the Transcendent Realm 9th level. In terms of strength and progress, he was even more powerful than the poisonous young master. In addition to Guiyuan sect, where Pei Xingqian was, some major human forces, such as Si Konghao sect, also sent many experts. For a time, Transcendence Realm experts, who were rarely seen on normal days, could be seen everywhere like cabbages. But at this time, no one had the mind to care about this problem. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the sleeping vicious beast. If we want to go to the 7th floor, we must kill this beast. There is no other way. Now that everyone is here, let's do it! At this time, a vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's law manifestation expert said. Now that we have joined forces, even if this beast is really an ancient creature, there is nothing to be afraid of, said the poisonous flaming dragon clan expert with a disdainful look. Among all the forces present, there was no doubt that the poisonous flaming dragon clan was the strongest. Even in the entire flourished Cloud Sea region, the poisonous flaming dragon clan was a dominant existence. He had such strength and confidence. What's more, there were so many law manifestation experts present. Even if this beast was strong, could it go against the natural order? This was the confidence and pride belonging to a law manifestation expert. We will kill this vicious beast by force. To avoid hurting the innocent, everyone retreat! At this time, the man leading the Sea Demon clan said, warning those who wanted to pounce at any time to take advantage of the situation. Although it was still unknown who would kill this vicious beast in the end and whose hands the corpse would fall into, they must not let those individual cultivators snatch it first. These individual cultivators were eager to make a move. Among them, there were many Transcendent Realm 9th level, half-step law manifestation, and even law manifestation experts. If they were not careful, they might even get the last benefit. How could they not understand the principle of the mantis stalking the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind? At this time, it was time to clear the area. However, it was just a routine. After all, they were a group of law manifestation realm martial artists. If some transcendent realm martial artists were to snatch it away, they would be in deep trouble. As a law manifestation expert, they had such confidence. Many of the individual cultivators who were close could only retreat at this time, staying away from this vicious beast. There was no other way. It was impossible to reason with them at this time. After many individual cultivators retreated, these major forces law manifestation experts didn't want to wait any longer and made their move. Even if it was 100 miles away, Yishiwen could still feel the terrifying fluctuations when these law manifestation experts attacked with all their might. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion came from afar, giving people the illusion that the sky was collapsing and the earth was collapsing. The dazzling divine radiance caused by the explosion instantly soared into the sky, piercing through the heavens and earth. It was like a volcano that had been sleeping for many years and suddenly came back to life. The terrifying shockwaves caused his clothes to flutter violently, and the true essence in his body also started to protect his body as if it was conditioned to do so. Even if it was 100 miles away, Yishiwen could still feel the terrifying power. His pupils shrank for a while. The law manifestation experts were more terrifying than he imagined. For the law manifestation experts, he only had some information about them. He wasn't clear about them, so he insisted on coming here to see the law manifestation experts in action. Only by seeing it with his own eyes could he truly estimate the might of the law manifestation experts. He could already feel that it wouldn't be long before he fought with the law manifestation experts. The battle between the law manifestation experts is really terrifying. I'm frightened by this round of attacks. Yeah, the gap between the transcendent realm and the law manifestation realm is so huge. I must enter the law manifestation realm as soon as possible. In front of the law manifestation experts, the transcendent realm is not an opponent at all. Only the law manifestation experts can be regarded as a character. Suddenly, in the sky, various transcendent realm experts' spiritual senses filled the sky. Even if they were transcendent realm experts, they rarely had the chance to see these law manifestation realm experts who lived in seclusion all year round. Especially now that the situation in the flourished Cloud Sea region was relatively stable, the opportunities for these law manifestation experts to make a move were even fewer. For example, in the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan, the one who made the move was a Transcendent Realm 9th level peak expert like Elder 18. With their means and the deterrence of the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan, it was a piece of cake to eradicate some small forces. There was no need for the law manifestation experts to make a move. Therefore, even though they knew that they might not have a chance to get the demon subduing tower, they still gathered here to see the power of the law manifestation experts. Moreover, they had gained a lot of benefits in the 6th floor. If they could enter the 7th floor at this time, they might get more benefits. Especially many warriors who had been stuck in the Transcendent Realm 9th level for many years, they were looking forward to this opportunity. Although the majority of the loot would go to the various major powers, even the leftovers would be more than enough for individuals like them. Boom! There was another loud noise. It was as if the sea was overturned, and the mountains collapsed. Between heaven and earth, there was a vast expanse of whiteness. There was a dazzling light everywhere. The endless light flickered. Between heaven and earth, it was like a pot of boiling water, boiling all of a sudden. Except for the experts of the major forces protected by the law manifestation experts, the others retreated even more. They dared not approach. Otherwise, they might be suppressed to death. In total, more than 20 law manifestation experts joined forces. How terrifying it was! The entire mountain range covering the beast was shattered on the spot, turning into powder. Everyone was dazzled by what they saw. Apart from being scared witless, they immediately became certain that after suffering such a terrifying attack, even if that ferocious beast was really a giant beast from ancient times, it should be dead by now. It was impossible for it to survive. But they heard a loud roar resounding through the world. Roar! Chapter 991. Roar! Everyone's expression suddenly turned cold. Everyone knew that the fierce beast that had been in a deep slumber had awakened. It wasn't like what everyone had imagined, that he would be killed in his sleep. Everyone's hearts tightened. But right now, there was a vast expanse of whiteness everywhere. All kinds of divine lights were flickering. Many people didn't even dare to open their eyes, afraid that they would be directly blinded. At this moment, a sharp scream came. A female law manifestation expert screamed on the spot, and there was no news of her. Everyone's mood suddenly became tense. Yishiwen, who had condensed the divinity into his eyes, saw it clearly. At that moment, a huge claw instantly grabbed the female law manifestation expert, turning her into a blood mist on the spot. That law phase realm expert was like a baby in front of this incomparably huge fierce beast. He had no way to fight back. Seeing this scene, Yishiwen suddenly felt a chill on his back, and his hair instantly stood on end. That wasn't a transcendent realm master. It was a law manifestation realm master. In terms of combat power, it could definitely defeat the current Yishiwen. However, it was crushed by a single claw. It was imaginable how terrifying this vicious beast was. At this moment, the white light in the sky finally dissipated, and everyone finally saw the appearance of this vicious beast. It was a ferocious beast that was as huge as a mountain. Its entire body was covered with thick red fur, and its mouth was like a bird's beak, filled with sharp teeth. There were 2 huge horns on its head, winding straight up, and from time to time, they emitted a terrifying divine light. His eyes were scarlet red, and from afar they looked like 2 huge lanterns. Everyone was shocked when they saw the appearance of this fierce beast. What was even more terrifying was that they discovered that this fierce beast did not have a single wound on its body. That thick layer of fur did not show any signs of being disheveled at all. In other words, the attacks of those law manifestation experts didn't cause any damage to this monster with a bird's beak at all. It only shattered the mountain on its body. This was the reason why everyone took a deep breath. The attacks of those law manifestation experts had exceeded the scope of everyone's imagination. That was another level of power, but there was no way to hurt this monster with a bird's beak at all. It was imaginable how terrifying this monster with a bird's beak was. It probably far exceeded the law manifestation realm. Hiss! Everyone was taking a deep breath. While they were still immersed in this shock, the huge monster moved. The huge front claw instantly grabbed out. It was completely different from its huge body size. In an instant, another Transcendence Realm expert was caught in its mouth and bitten to death on the spot. Creak, creak! The sound of bones being chewed made people feel weak all over. It was a result of being scared. The law manifestation expert only had time to scream before he was grabbed to death. One shouldn't think that warriors at this level were fearless. They were just like ordinary people who were afraid. It was just that they were different from ordinary people who would scream at the slightest supernatural event. At their level of cultivation, they were already part of the supernatural event. They could live for tens of thousands of years and had seen all kinds of things. It was impossible for ordinary things to affect them. However, when they really saw the law manifestation expert being grabbed to death like a small bug and then being bitten and swallowed bit by bit, they were still afraid. At this time, they discovered that they were not as fearless as they thought. In front of this terrifying monster that no human could resist, they were as fragile as the ants that they used to disdain. What was the fear of ants? This was the fear of ants. Run! It was unknown who shouted this, but the entire team of warriors began to flee frantically. Everyone tried their best to escape. At this time, no one dared to stay. This vicious beast was too terrifying. Even those law manifestation experts were no exception. At this time, they no longer had the confidence and ease they had when they first appeared. They were even more embarrassed than the Transcendent Realm experts. Their original position was at the forefront. They wanted to rush into the 7th floor as soon as possible and gain control of this demon-subduing tower. However, they were now the ones who suffered the most, as they were the front line facing this vicious beast. If this vicious beast was only ordinary, it would be fine. There were many law manifestation experts present, and they could still fight against it. However, what was truly terrifying was that this vicious beast had completely exceeded the limits of their imagination. It could almost kill a law manifestation expert in one go. Could it be that a beast deity had awakened? At this time, this horrifying thought involuntarily emerged in their hearts. Ordinary people didn't know much about gods, but they knew. After all, their inheritance had been passed down for many years. Naturally, they knew that the legendary gods naturally existed. In fact, among the major clans that survived in the ancient Barrens continent, which one of them didn't have their own gods? It was just that those gods had disappeared a long time ago. Although they had all disappeared, no one dared to deny their existence. Who knew when there would be a god in hibernation? Naturally, there were also beasts that became gods with the body of a beast. However, that was too far away for them. No, they quickly remembered that this vicious beast had no divinity. Although its ferocious aura was monstrous, it did not have divinity. It had yet to become a god. However, no one would think so much at this time. Whether this vicious beast became a god or not, it was just a piece of cake for it to kill them. What was the difference between becoming a god and not becoming a god? The martial artists who had come in a majestic manner suddenly began to flee in a frenzy. Many cultivators who had their potential stimulated fled extremely quickly. Compared to before, they were several times faster. Yi Shiwen's figure was also among them. He did not spread the demon wings. His demon wings were now a symbol. Many people had seen it. Once it was spread, even if he was fleeing, it was hard to guarantee that the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile Clan and Poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan's Law Manifestation Realm experts would not give him a hard time. It was not difficult for a Law Manifestation Realm expert to deal with a Transcendent Realm expert. Not to mention, in this kind of escape, there was no need to run faster than the vicious beast. He just had to run faster than most people. With Yi Shiwen's speed, even if he did not spread the demon wings, it was a piece of cake to achieve this. A rumbling sound came from behind Yi Shiwen. A group of people was getting closer and closer. Yi Shiwen glanced over and discovered that it was the experts of the Gui Yuan sect. Their chariots were rolling across the sky, leaving behind many traces. Although the chariots were huge, their speed was incomparably fast. They gradually caught up from the back of the group and slowly flew towards the front. At this time, Pei Xingqian, who was on the bronze chariot, saw Yi Shiwen and immediately recognized him. Although Yi Shiwen's aura was restrained, he did not disguise himself. It was easy to recognize him. At this time, both sides were fleeing. Naturally, they did not talk much. They just nodded to each other and quickly separated. The Gui Yuan sect's chariot directly ran over the team and quickly disappeared in front of everyone. The vicious beast behind was also getting closer and closer. Every time it approached, it would directly grab one or even several experts with its claws and devour them. Then, it slowly approached again. Yi Shiwen could feel that this ominous beast seemed to be in the process of recovering. The blood energy on its body was getting stronger and stronger as it devoured more and more experts. Its speed was also getting faster and faster. Obviously, this vicious beast had just woken up from its long sleep and was recovering its vitality bit by bit. Just as it was about to catch up with the team and capture a few more people, the whole world suddenly began to shake violently. Someone is touching the demon-subduing tower outside. This thought suddenly emerged in everyone's mind. However, they saw that the vicious beast behind them, which was originally about to catch up, did not continue to pursue them. Instead, it looked up to the sky and roared furiously. Red light suddenly flashed in its eyes. Its huge body suddenly flew into the sky and ran towards the sky. Every time it ran, the entire air would tremble violently. Ha 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 ha! After suppressing me for so many years, this demon-subduing tower will be my compensation! An incomparably savage laughter permeated from the outside. The voice was like a heavy blow, hitting everyone's heart all of a sudden, making everyone lose all resistance. Many experts slipped from the sky like dumplings. The person clearly did not mean it, but an unintentional sentence could make everyone feel powerless. Everyone was already powerless. This level of cultivation had already reached an unfathomable level. What did it mean when one's words were spoken? This was what it meant when one's words were spoken. Every move carried great heavenly might. Moreover, upon hearing this, the crowd became even more panicked. Suppressed? Could it be that he was the demon suppressed under this demon-subduing tower? Hiss! Did he actually escape? It was imaginable how terrifying a demon that didn't die after hundreds of millions of years was. The demon that was sealed by their ancestors was not an existence they could imagine at all. Once such a demon was born, the entire flourished cloud sea region would be destroyed. The vicious beast also roared. The terrifying divine light instantly rippled out like the surface of the water. Suddenly, the lives of countless natives on the entire 6th floor exploded in an instant, turning into a mass of blood essence that converged into a long river and poured into the body of this vicious beast. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.